And we're back on another episode of Think on That. This is the Everything and Anything podcast. I'm Matt Goody.
I'm Alex.
And we have two guests today, one new and one return guest. We have Mariah. Welcome back.
Thank you. So excited to be here.
Thanks for coming in. And we have Carly, the cousin that was spoken about in the last episode.
Yeah,
Carly,
thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Of course. Welcome. So, Carly, you're a holistic...
I'm a holistic practitioner.
Holistic practitioner.
Certified holistic practitioner. Yes.
Legit. This is it.
It's legit. Yeah. I brought the science, okay?
Yeah. Perfect. Brought the science to back it up.
Yeah.
Last time, we got into some pretty good stuff. We got into a lot of stuff, but obviously the greater context was food and water.
Yeah.
Right? So I kind of think that's the direction we're going to lean in today.
Oh, yeah. I love it. Let's do it.
Right?
Topic.
And
yeah.
you both look ready to
go.
You were saying before we went hot on the mics that you have a chicken that you removed the tumor out of?
Yes. So we actually thought it was a tumor because it was growing quick and it was just this weird mass on the side of her neck.
Like a cyst?
And kind of, but
Okay.
it wasn't like, it was solid.
Right,
it wasn't like we tried to cut into it, nothing would come out. It was like this solid mass.
Yeah.
And we actually spent a lot of money getting it removed, and it came back. So we're like, it has to be like a tumor. We don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
So my mom and I, we took her in, and I had like my boyfriend holding her down. We gave her like a few sedatives so that she wouldn't feel anything, and we put like numbing cream, and then we just started cutting her open, and I ended up finding like a chunk of metal like behind the mass in her neck.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was, I guess, metal from the chicken fence.
You were there as well?
No, I wasn't. It was.
there?
We had like packs of gauze. Like, I don't know how a chicken could let that much blood go. Like, when we were cleaning her chickens, like, for meat, they didn't even have as much blood as she lost. Like, it was insane.
Wow.
And she's little. Like, she's just a little.
little. Yeah.
Wow. What kind of chicken is it?
She's a leg bar, so she produces blue eggs.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Wow.
but it ended up being fine. We stitched it back up. I removed the chunk of metal and probably a third of the mass. And
Was it like a shard of metal
it
or
was,
something?
yeah, so it was from the like a chicken wire fence. It was the snippings from like the end of it, and I guess one got lost, and you know, chickens just eating whatever they
eat everything.
They eat
Right.
everything,
Mm-hmm.
and it just must have got lodged in, and a mass grew around it.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You performed life-saving surgery.
Yes.
Seriously. Who's
Yeah.
next? Anybody?
Anyone? Yeah, you need
Yeah.
a surgery. You know.
She's a
Do you still, so
practicing
the chicken's doing alive? It's alive
She's
and
alive.
well?
She's good. We've been getting eggs every day. She
Wow.
actually, funny enough, laid an egg the same day of the surgery. Like, we finished, and like an hour
And they
later.
have to be comfortable to lay eggs.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
if they're uncomfortable, they won't lay.
Yeah.
Wow, okay, so you got it right back into
the same day.
nice.
Next day, we thought maybe it was just like in the, I guess, the process,
Yeah.
and that's why she laid that day. We're like,
Right.
she'll probably stop for a bit out of like trauma or whatever, and no, she just kept going.
Oh my God. How old
Yeah.
are you?
She's not even a year.
But the place that they got their chickens from, there's like a breeder,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they're terrible. They have
So,
genetic
yeah.
mutations. Like, they have
Like
so
inbreeding
many
issues and stuff like that?
Inbreeding issues,
Mm-hmm.
vaccine issues. Like, when you're pumping them full of vaccines as day olds, they get a lot of issues.
We
as
had
they
a
grow
lot
up.
die from the vaccines.
I bought
that she was
10.
giving
I got
them.
10 day olds.
Oh.
Half of them died within the first couple of days. And
Mm-hmm.
she's like, it's normal, you know, it's just what happens, but
But
it's
is
not.
it?
No, because she hatched me a bunch of eggs and they all lived. All of them.
I have an
Healthy,
incubator,
healthy.
and I
Yeah.
hatched the eggs, and they turned out to be the most solid,
Never had an
amazing
issue with
no.
her
So
chicken.
I have a question then for your like living situation.
Yes.
Because I feel like a lot of people ask the question when it comes to chickens. There are rules in certain towns and
Yeah.
stuff. You can't have them. What sort of area are you living in? Are
So
you
we're
in-
like East Gwillimbury, and we back onto the forest.
But I'm
so,
in Aurora, and I
Yeah.
have one too.
Right.
You're allowed it in Aurora, right?
You're allowed like 3 or 4 hens, no roosters, no turkeys.
Right.
We have turkeys. We just got rid of our rooster, and we've got 10 chickens.
Well, at my other place in Aurora, we weren't allowed chickens, and I had our neighbor was a nosy guy, and he would call the town on us for having chickens there.
What a loser.
And
I know,
yeah,
he's-
and I was like,
he's
they're
Come
quiet,
on.
they're hens, like they don't bug anyone. They eat your bugs, you're welcome. They're not even on his property. I'm like,
Bring
I
them
don't know.
eggs, like
Yeah.
No, if it was
it
a
was-
rooster waking him up every morning.
I get
That's
that,
one
but
thing.
they weren't.
Yeah.
They were just little, and they weren't even old enough to be laying yet. They were just tiny little things running around, and he just couldn't mind his business. And like,
But
I
he
had
was
to
like
get
that with
rid of
everything.
them.
Too many cars in the driveway. He would call the town.
Yeah.
Too many cars
Oh,
in
too
your
many cars in
driveway.
in
Yeah.
the driveway. Like,
Well, it was
What are
creepy.
you
Like, we would be
talking
like
about?
young, and we'd be like watering the trees, and the friend, he's out the window like staring at us. And then we got called. He called the cops on us one time for too many cars in the driveway, and the cop like the officer came to the door and he was like, well, I feel really dumb being here right now. Like,
Yeah, even the guy was like,
yeah.
I just have to come because it's my job. Like, I have to
he's
show
like,
up.
this is
But
stupid.
I'm sorry, what's the danger in too many cars in a
no,
driveway?
it's
Nothing.
This guy sounds like the guy who would
No, but
be
like, why would the cops even show
calling-
to that?
Yeah, they have to. Any call
Yeah.
that
For
you make,
what?
they
It's
have
like a
to.
wellness kind of
Yeah,
check.
you
They
never
just
know.
have to
I
make sure
get
that,
it.
like,
You
It's
never
just
know
like-
what's going on
Yeah.
when a call comes
Yeah.
in. You never know.
I guess
Yeah.
so.
Some people code, right? Like in emergencies,
Call
like, they
for
can't
pizza, and
say.
it's like-
Yeah,
they
call for
have to
pizza,
go and
yeah.
check. They have
Yeah.
to.
Right, no, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. So,
Interesting.
how big is your backyard then? Is it just like a
Um,
regular, like a fenced-in backyard?
No, so we're just right on the forest.
Wow.
Like,
But your actual property line isn't like enormous.
no, like our property's not. I don't know the exact size, but in
Right.
the back it looks big because we don't have the fence. But we just
Actually,
let them
it's-
roam
it's
the
a
whole
decent
forest.
Oh, they okay. So I was
So-
gonna ask, like, do you have them in a coop or do you let them
they
kind of free range?
range?
Right,
but
right.
we had a fox attack, take out 4. So now we had to
It was
pen
so
in
sad.
an area in the forest.
How
But
many
when
do you
I'm
have?
outside,
How many? Yeah.
do we have, or how many do we?
Like, how many do you have
died?
now?
Oh, 6 now.
6 now,
Yeah,
and then
4 died during the.
what would you like to be at? Like, what's your like good?
This is
number?
perfect for me. I had 12 at one point, and it was awesome, but it was a
It's a
lot
lot.
of shit to clean
More cleanup, like
It's also a
more
lot of eggs
food.
every day.
Yeah,
Yes.
right now we have like 9 layers, and we're getting like 6 to 8 eggs
Yeah.
a day.
A day.
Like we have so many fucking.
And I don't
eggs.
Are
even
you
like
giving them
eggs.
away?
Yeah,
You're
like
selling
we give them
them?
away.
Yeah.
We store them. Like
Yeah.
yeah.
You should
Yeah.
be picking some up.
I know.
Yeah.
Honestly,
I
Get
should have
over
brought
it.
you some. Like I was thinking about it as soon
this
as
is
I
a
got
podcast.
here.
Damn it! We now expect to get
Bring
gifts.
you gifts. Yeah. yeah.
That's funny. So okay, so is it just chickens, or do you have? Who said?
I've got turkeys.
You've got turkeys. That's
too.
right, in Aurora, right?
They're
Okay.
so cute.
Are they hens or? Are they...
They're hens. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Males will like kill your hens, your chicken hens.
Really?
Really?
Yeah. Males are super aggressive,
I guess because of like competition for resource, or
and they're
how-
huge.
Yeah, they are.
They're
massive.
really big.
Remember,
Yeah.
Phil hit one with Barbara.
Yeah. In his minivan.
Phil, do you remember Phil?
No.
Big
Yeah. Yes.
Phil,
Yes.
right?
Yes. I remember.
So he
Phil,
used to
yes.
drive this like ghetto ass minivan, and one day he was driving on Bloomington in Aurora, and he smoked. That's wild
Did
turkey
it fuck
came
up
out.
his car?
Yeah,
like,
his windshield.
They're
Oh my
fucking
God.
He got
huge.
home and there was like feathers in the grill and stuff.
No.
That's
Smoked
sad.
it.
That's a sad
It's going
story.
80
sad.
kilometers an hour.
That's terrible.
Smoked
Turkey
it.
dinner. Just
Turkey
Turkey
flying.
dinner.
And he left.
Yeah.
He didn't even take it home.
I would have brought
Aw.
that.
Like,
What a
Panicked.
waste.
It's okay.
that's funny, man.
Yeah.
But with the chickens, so what do you have to do to keep them safe from like not predation because whatever
Yeah.
predators or you can deal with
Everything
them however,
loves
right?
chicken.
Everything, right?
Everything.
But what about like pests and stuff? Like
Like mites and
yeah,
stuff like
parasites
that, like small
and
stuff.
Oh,
like
small,
bugs and even infections and stuff. Like, do you have to deal with like a lot
Yes,
of
yeah, for
Really?
sure. Yeah, you have
Mm-hmm.
to make sure that they have a clean coop. They have somewhere to dust bathe because that's how they clean themselves.
Right.
And then you add things like diatomaceous earth, which is like a
I've seen
anti-parasite and
yeah.
stuff like that.
I put charcoal from the fire in there too, like the
Charcoal.
ashes.
Yeah,
Activated
really
charcoal,
helps.
they call it, I think.
Yeah.
Right.
Even just from your fire,
Just
like
from the
have a fire,
fireplace,
make sure
yeah.
it's clean stuff,
Yep.
and then sprinkle it out, and it'll keep some bugs off of them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And-
use that diatomaceous earth and then mix herbs in sometimes and a
If
little bit
they-
like a sand, and that's what they bathe in. And
Yeah. If they have parasites, though, because I know that you went through one that like had an issue.
Yeah.
They used ivermectin. A couple rounds of
Yeah.
ivermectin.
Yeah, you know ivermectin.
Yeah, well,
every
yeah.
day.
Yeah, you know, yeah,
What
it's
the
in my
fuck is
shelf.
ivermectin? I have no idea what that is.
You don't know what that is?
No.
Come on, Matt.
Because of the COVID stuff,
know
you
what
don't
that
know what
is?
Fuck
ivermectin
no.
is?
No. What?
What?
What is
We're on
it?
opposite sides of the
Yeah.
world
No,
right
I know.
now. Like,
I
this
know.
is such a
Teach
normal
us.
thing.
Enlighten us.
That's
Okay,
what I heard
so-
TikTok. She was saying, what did you say was on your TikTok, that video?
A rooster flew off of a condo building.
She's like, did you see that video? You saw it, right? I'm like,
It
no.
was like viral on my side of TikTok.
yeah,
You saw the video.
I saw the video.
Yeah.
My TikTok, or I don't have TikTok. My Instagram is full of TikTok reels that are all farm life. That's it,
yeah.
like all farm life.
Ivermectin it's more of a prescription drug, but it was used to treat people with COVID. So it was used to help alleviate the symptoms, prevent them from getting it. Am I explaining that right?
Yeah, it's also used as like an anti-parasitic as well.
Anti-parasitic, yeah.
And they use it in
okay.
horses specifically.
Right.
But we kind of just used it for the chicken, and
Ask
it
around.
worked. Yeah.
People will.
Is
we're
it
not crazy.
expensive?
Yes and no. Like, it's pretty expensive for what it is, but it's reasonably
It
priced.
also went very viral when COVID was
like,
happening.
it's not
because
unaffordable, but it's just
hard
not
to get
It's
now.
not that cheap, but it's like $30 for a pack, which is
What's the delivery mechanism?
It's
Is
a
it like
pill.
it's a pill?
Well, I
and
had
they'll
the,
eat it just
a gel form.
Gel,
there's-
yeah.
you can get them in
Yeah.
different forms, but
Okay,
for
okay.
people,
Right.
it's usually just a pill.
and then for the chickens it's gel. And are you rubbing it on like an infected area? Or are you putting it
No,
in
so
the food?
I would put it
They
on a
eat
piece
it.
of bread, and they would eat that.
Oh,
We
gotcha.
got the gel. It was like a horse, and it came in like this tube, and it was meant for horses. And we just had to like do the conversion for the body weight, and gave it to the chickens. So we had to like weigh them all and put them. So we actually treated the whole flock.
You can't
man.
eat the eggs because they're expelling parasites.
They're like
Right.
detoxing
So-
pretty
Makes
much.
sense.
Yeah.
Makes
But I
sense.
also put like CD, like chlorine dioxide in their water, and I put apple cider vinegar in their water, and I
Cayenne
just,
pepper.
Cayenne pepper.
Also really
they don't
helpful.
have
Right.
like the same spice receptors that we have, so they eat like chili peppers, cayenne peppers, and it doesn't phase them, but it
Nice.
helps
Pretty crazy.
clean them out.
Nice.
So
okay.
I like, yeah, so we have like constant things going through. We have like herbs that we put in the coop and that they love
Garlic,
eating.
yeah.
I give them like, honestly, these chickens are spoiled. Like I fry
Nobody
eggs for
treats their
them
chickens
with
like Carly treats
shells.
her chickens.
Yeah.
Like,
We ferment their food. Like they are spoiled chickens. They eat better than I do. There's mornings I don't
Seriously.
make breakfast for myself, but I'm scrambling them eggs.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh.
So I've heard like a lot of chicken owners, like as I watch a lot of videos
Yeah.
about farmsteading and
Hey,
homesteading because that's my
yeah.
thing. And
That's your thing?
That's my thing. I want
Love
to. Yeah,
it.
that's what I want to do. It's like our plan is to.
oh
yeah,
my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll make a little community.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
literally.
there.
We're
It
there.
people say it sounds like a cult, but I'm like,
No,
It's
no.
kind of a
Is it more
cult.
culty than everybody going to the grocery store and eating garbage
Yeah.
all the time?
Thank
is
you.
it more culty than that?
Thank
Like,
you.
Oh, come on.
You know
That's,
what I mean?
It's normal, though.
It's normal.
I
but-
keep saying
I
I'm
love it.
moving to an island, and that's it. Like I'm just moving to an island, growing everything there, having a bunch of cows, and everything
Yeah.
can just roam
Cows.
free because they can't swim away. Like, well, they can, but
they can't swim
Like,
away.
cows
now.
are, you just roam free, live life.
So my question then, for the both of you who've got chickens in Canada, in Ontario,
Yeah.
you've gone through a winter with your chickens, right, respectively?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I've seen tons of stuff. A, being like, you need to be anal about getting up and getting your eggs because they'll freeze.
Yeah, they do.
And then also, like, how hardy are chickens in our very, very aggressive winters?
Dependent on the breed.
Yeah.
So I have
Yeah.
a few that are really good winter hardy birds.
Me too.
Yeah.
They'll
But
be
they don't
outside
do
in the
so well
rain,
in our
snow,
summers.
whatever. Yeah.
And I have some that are more, well, they're skinnier.
Mediocre
They're not
in
as,
both.
yeah, and
Yeah.
they're not the best for the winter, but they're great in the summer.
So-
it's a hard mix that you got to kind of find.
What do you do with the less hardy birds in the winter? Do they just stay
I know
outside?
it's
and,
just
like,
an
let
overall.
them
You just
be?
do it for everything. So I let them go out. They don't like the snow, so ours are weird.
They'll
Some
choose
chickens
to go
do.
out or
Yeah.
they'll choose to stay in,
Right.
right?
But
we
I
give
do
them
like
the
deep
option.
litters, so we put like almost a foot of straw.
And every so often you add
Hmm. Yeah,
more.
I've
You
heard
add
this.
more
What
because
is
it
it
becomes
called?
insulation.
It's just a straw
Deep
that you
straws,
put in.
like an
Deep
insulate-
litter.
Deep
Deep litter, yeah.
Yeah.
Deep litter.
And then
Okay.
I had a heater underneath their water source in the coop because their water would freeze. Right?
Yeah,
so
that's
if
another
there's a
problem.
power outage, we
Yeah.
have to make sure we're on it. And yes, the eggs do freeze.
Yeah.
So you have to make sure you're getting them
Like, right in the morning,
constantly.
right?
And if you put cayenne in the water too, it helps them like keep their body warm, and they don't
Really?
get affected. Like I said about the cayenne, like you put in their feed, and it helps keep them warm.
And-
they hate winters though.
Yeah.
Like they're not happy.
Yeah.
Like you can tell they don't lay as much.
I was gonna say their egg laying goes like way
Yeah,
down, right?
way down.
Percentage wise, what would you say roughly?
I'd say at least 50%.
Really?
Yeah. Almost
That's a
more,
Because
but
there's
we
less
substitute with
light,
light.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's true.
You have to
It is based
substitute
on
light
light.
because
Yeah.
that's how their egg production works.
So do you have lights in your coops now?
Yeah.
It's
Right.
like
I
electrical
use
and
Christmas
everything.
lights,
Timer.
and I take
Oh, do
them
you?
down. Yeah, I string
so
them
cute.
through, and that's what I use for lights. And it was on a timer, but I didn't. A lot of people put their timer like really early in the morning to go late at night, so they keep eggs. But I was
Yeah.
like, they need to sleep, so we
Yeah.
did like 9 a.m. to like 5 p.m. So it was just still
Normal
bright out. So on
time,
those
but-
cloudy days, they didn't get like it wasn't dark and gloomy.
So you're kind of
And
like
they're-
in the business of like giving them a break in the winter,
Yeah.
and then their egg
Yeah,
production
well,
ramps
they're
up.
they're
spring,
more of
summer.
my
don't
pets.
need that
I don't
many,
eat
right?
eggs, so they're more of my pets. But so I didn't care about the
So
egg
what do you
production.
do with the eggs?
I give them away.
Oh, fair enough.
My
yeah.
boyfriend
Hatches
eats them
Oh,
all.
yeah, yeah.
I'm not a fan of eggs, so I just always.
Do your family
Really?
members eat them? Or,
Yeah, a little
yeah.
bit.
So you got like egg eaters all around.
Yes.
Oh, on egg eaters. Do you know about like chicken
Chicken
egg
egg
eaters?
eaters.
Do you
I
have
had
any?
one.
You do?
Yeah, but it stopped.
Oh.
Which is like it doesn't happen very often.
Yeah,
They
like,
stop.
you usually say
yeah.
They
that's
say
it.
that you have to
You're
like
supposed
kill the
them
bird,
all.
Yeah.
but
all of them.
if you get like the ceramic, like the fake eggs, and you leave
'Cause
them in
you
the box,
can
and they
get-
go to peck them,
yeah.
they hurt themselves, so then eventually they
They
stop.
Or
stop.
fill it with mustard.
Right.
Or-
right?
yeah.
Aren't you saying like
Something I read that somewhere,
that
but
they
I
don't
don't
like.
actually know if that works. but-
Mustard? Like mustard seed?
no,
No.
like actual mustard? If you crack open an egg and fill it flip it over and they start pecking at it and get to it, they hate it and they'll just never.
And they'll
do it
avoid
again.
like the yellow.
They're detecting
Good tip. I've never
mustard.
heard those
I
tips.
know,
I've seen
that
so
was
many
new to me.
videos on like egg or chicken rearing.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, oh, once you have an egg eater, you got to
No.
eat it. You got to kill it. You got
No.
to eat it. I'm like, well, that's really.
There's so many different
so
hacks
harsh.
that owning
There's
chickens
hacks.
that you
Yeah.
need to know. Like now, honestly, if I see a bird, I'm like, I know exactly what's wrong. You have water belly, or you're egg bound, or you have bumblefoot. Like I can literally look
And
at a
there's something
bird
to
by the
fix
way it's
each
walking and
one.
know.
Wow. It's kind of
Just
like
because
plants.
yeah.
The discoloration on a
Yeah.
leaf or whatever. you're
And
like,
my
I
Facebook
know
is like
you.
full of like chicken and homestead groups. So everyone's like,
Yeah.
"What's wrong with my chicken?" And everyone
Oh,
will
those
go
are
in the
so
comments and
helpful.
tell you what's up.
I'm gonna start
And
following these.
yeah,
too.
no, and
What's it
I
called,
ended up
backyard
learning
chickens?
backyard chickens, and
that.
I ended up learning so much about the health of my chickens because people would be like, "Oh, my chicken like has like yellow diarrhea. What is this?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh,
I
that looks
wouldn't
the same."
know, but-
And he's like, "The tail is down, and the comb is like not bright red anymore." And you're just like, "Okay, like it could be like a parasitic infection, or it could be this." And you're going through the comments,
Yeah.
and you just
just
see all
post a
these
picture or
such
video.
great people post things about different health things that we didn't even know about, and then eventually you just learn.
It's
And
helped us.
Now I
Yeah.
know so much.
so
Right.
in terms of like cost of rearing chickens, like
$500
in
an
a year,
egg.
a year.
It's so expensive.
Is it?
Way more
Yes.
expensive
I've
than
not
buying eggs.
heard that.
No,
Wow.
it is way more. Well, I don't know about now because I have so many. Like
Yeah.
I'm getting an abundance of eggs, but
Is that like the startup cost, or is this like your
Yes.
annual running cost?
no,
here?
it's a lot.
Is
It's just
it?
always a lot. Like
How much have you
need-
spend?
to
Like
date?
a lot.
Yeah, like
Till-
like
to
the whole
date?
thing, yeah. Or maybe a year. Like how much would you spend in a
In a year. In a year, Zach.
Well, I don't know, probably like $5,000.
Really?
Probably around that or more because we got an
Yeah.
electric fence,
Yeah, the electric fence for us was really
an electric
expensive,
coop
too.
door
Well,
opener.
yeah.
You
Oh,
have
yeah,
to
you
buy
guys-
the bedding.
you guys
You have
are
to buy
luxury.
organic feed.
The
like-
door opener, just to get the automatic one that stays good during the winter, is like $500, and then
Right.
to
The
get
fence
like
was
the
like
feed, like
$2,000
we buy
for us.
organic and non-GMO like feeds,
Yeah.
like, and it's so expensive.
Yeah,
and
that's
we were
what I
having it
bet you.
custom made from this guy, and
And he
because they don't make
stopped.
pellets, so
he stopped making it because it wasn't profitable enough.
And then
for
the
him.
coop. Don't even get started on the coop. Like
So-
it was like
Renovations,
$4,000 for a good chicken
'cause
coop,
you
and I had
bought
to
one.
rebuild everything.
I was gonna say with the coop thing because you mentioned your boyfriend's like really handy.
We
he
were
can build
gonna build
stuff.
one,
Yeah.
but
Right.
honestly, the price of wood in our time, we were like, you know what?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that's sort of
bad.
the
We,
lumber
had-
cost.
we
and
waited
stuff,
out
yeah.
and
was
we're like,
lucky.
you know what? And
Yeah.
it was this lovely couple in Owen Sound that custom made them, and we were talking to them about it, and they were just so nice, and I was like, I want.
Yeah,
you-
support local. You know,
it was
the whole
just so
thing.
great, and we
Yeah.
weren't going to save much money doing it ourselves anyways.
Right.
So when they told, and it was so beautiful. We ended up
It's
having
really
to redo
nice.
the roof because it
And
would
put
drip
some,
over.
Right.
Didn't you put vinyl tiles down so that it's
Yes.
easier to clean?
Yeah.
'Cause, like if it's
Smart.
wood,
Right.
it's
Yeah.
so
Right.
hard to
It
scrape
just
it off.
absorbs
Wood is
into
tough,
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we
For
put
sure.
melamine
Yeah.
down so that
Right.
it's like you just scrape it out. It's easy.
But
That's so
now, like
interesting.
starting up, we made a lot of mistakes. Like I had chickens before, but never like
full
like
Like flock.
running, like
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the amount of things that I wish I knew, like if I were to do chickens now, I would do it completely different. Like I
What
got
would
the
you do?
coop, they free. Well, I would probably build it before I get them.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
could.
So first thing is building the home for them,
Yeah,
getting it all
like
set
we-
up, and then grabbing
Yeah,
them.
we got the house and we put the chickens in, and then we
Yeah.
let them out, and they did their thing. And then we had the fox problem, and then we had to like rush and improvise because they couldn't get out of the coop, so we had to buy car tents. And then my boyfriend like made this like big, like completely sealed in area for them.
Yeah.
And then we went, oh, it's too small. We didn't realize because now we have more chickens, and this happened. So then we had to cut it open, extend it. And then we went, oh, well, that's not enough room. They need more room. So we had to cut a hole, get an automatic door, and then build a bigger one. And this is like
It's
years.
been an ongoing process.
It's
of,
been like 2
changes and
years of
updates
making
and-
all these changes. Like I would have for sure had an established area, not
Right.
just the coop before I did it. And learning about all the different things too. Like I didn't know about the ceramic tiles and the bottom of the coop. It would just when
Water
they would go to the
damage, it
bathroom,
could
water
get,
damage,
like, yeah.
and you would have areas swell up and or it absorb in, and you get like mites that were there, and you'd have to scrape the ground and disinfect everything and let it
Wow.
soak.
Right.
It was a lot. I would do things I would prepare the whole area and paint it with like they have like this it's like a milk paint. And
Right.
I paint it white now, the whole coop inside, because it cleans so much better.
Do you have
Yeah.
pictures of your coop?
I actually might. Yeah, I don't.
Can I see them?
Yes,
I'm
my
just
phone's
curious
in my
like I'm
bag.
trying to visualize this, and I'm like tile flooring,
Right.
like
I don't know.
lighting and automatic doors. These chickens have like a freaking nicer house than I do.
Well, I mean, it's actually pretty nice.
Yeah, let me see if I can find it. So I don't know if I have photos of the inside, but I have photos of the outside when we first got it, before a lot of stuff, and it was so cute.
And then Mariah, for the turkeys,
Yeah.
where are you housing
Same
them?
gig. They're
Are they-
together.
The chickens and the turkeys,
Yeah.
they're roosting together?
Yeah.
Really?
They're fine together.
Wow.
They don't fight. Like, the turkeys kind of run the show now that we don't have a rooster because they're
Right.
so big. So if there's ever a predator, they're, like, up front.
Yeah,
you
they're
know?
like the
They're
guard.
there.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
And I feel like the chickens kind of back off when they see that because they need someone to protect them against other
yeah.
predators
Yeah,
and
that
stuff.
makes sense.
Have you encountered like a predator?
Our neighbor
situation?
has chickens as well.
Really?
And he doesn't, like, he's an old farmer, right? So he
Okay.
just has a normal fence up. Like, he doesn't have anything to really protect them.
Right.
Every year, a fox comes and grabs at least a couple of them.
Oh,
Yeah. Jumps right in, takes them, kills them, leaves them there. Like, but we're lucky because it'll go for that one instead of ours. Because we have an electric fence, it's
Yeah.
a little bit harder for them.
For sure.
The electric fence is only 4.5 feet tall. So a fox could jump over it.
Really?
But because there's an easier food source next to us,
Why bother?
Why bother?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
it's true.
as sad as it is, but
And the fox was terrible. Like when we had that fox attack,
Oh my gosh.
it wasn't just like take
Those are
one
her
and go.
pets,
It was
you know what I
killed
mean? Like-
four.
Kill a bunch and then leave
Feathers
them around, right?
everywhere.
infected, like some of them were still
We
alive
managed to
and
save
so
one, so we thought it was dead. My mom was like running around with all the chickens in her arms, trying to collect the little bodies of these poor little things. And she drops on the driveway and drags itself under the car. And I was like, "She's alive, Corny's alive." Like we brought her in, we disinfected her, and we took care of her. And she, actually, Mariah helped us too because we had to
She's
go
cute.
somewhere, and she ended up looking after her for a bit.
Yeah.
And she just got so affectionate from this. She would crawl into your lap, follow you around, like she was in love with people.
Oh, that's so cute.
So, but it was
What a
terrible.
traumatic
The fox,
scene. My
it was
God.
it was
That's-
it was
that's-
so sad. Carly called me and she's like, "We had a fox attack," like petrified. Like
Yeah.
I was like, I
all
don't know
of
what
her
to
animals
do.
just died.
They
It's
were
like having
so
a bunch of dogs and them
traumatized
being
watching their
attacked. It was
friends.
so sad.
Yeah, you can imagine.
Do either of you have dogs?
No, I have a
No.
cat.
Okay, I don't think a cat's gonna
It's
do
not
much.
the same. Well, actually, my cat came face to face with the fox, and the fox ran away. But my cat's,
What kind of cats you
it's
have?
kind of like a
Stressful
dog.
sometimes.
It's like a dog. Like
Yeah.
it honestly, like
Yeah.
it sits and it'll come to you wherever you are. Like
Yeah.
it's cool. But
So what do you guys know about having a dog on the property as well to protect
Guardian,
from predators?
livestock.
Would that help?
Yeah.
yes,
Something like
for
it,
sure,
right?
it would
Yeah.
for sure.
For sure.
I guess a certain
Like
type
I
of
look
dog.
at
Yeah.
Steven, who
Right.
has chickens as
Yeah,
well
our
on his
cousin.
property, and he has a dog, Jackson. He's
Right.
this beautiful pit bull, and
Oh
he
my
just
gosh, he's-
runs
oh my
into
God, I
the
love him
forest
so
when the
much.
chickens go far, and he just
Herds
takes his
them
nose
back.
and nuzzles them one by one,
Pushes
brings
them
each
in.
one in the back.
Nice.
Yeah.
One by one,
Like a
and
little chicken
he
herder.
wasn't a farm dog. He just
Yeah.
knew
No.
because he's like, well, he's calling
It's
him back.
instinct.
How can I help?
Yeah.
And it was instinct. Like he never went to go attack or bite. He would just nudge them one by one and bring the chickens back to him.
It's incredible.
Like, it's incredible.
And
It
I'm
really
telling you,
is.
anything comes near Jackson, he's this big bully. Like that,
He's so cute.
You're
Yeah.
not
He's
winning.
so cute.
Yeah.
Like,
Pit bull especially.
Yeah.
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 So I actually don't have any photos.
I'm trying
of-
to find
I'm
some
having
for
a really
me,
hard time,
too.
but I have a video of the property, and you can see
Okay, yeah.
the chicken area in the back. So here, it's just this video. I just took it during the winter, but you can see like the secured part. This was before we built the outside. Yeah. So I'm having a hard time finding it. Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's really nice.
It is nice.
That's a nice area.
Yeah.
she's got a nice area for
That's
sure.
almost
You
a
really
little
do back on the
intimidating, though.
on the forest.
We're
yeah.
right in forest.
Yeah.
It's like that's a lot of like
Yeah.
open space to lose a chicken in.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they come
Yeah.
back. Like
They
we would
know.
just let them out, and they would go down the street. They go here, they go there, they go in the forest, and then starts to get
At
dark. They
night,
are right back in the coop.
They
And you
know
don't have to
where to
call
go.
them. They
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
They know where to
because
go.
they stay out. They die.
And they're
That's it.
scaredy
Yeah.
cats too. Like they're
And-
chickens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like they're scared of everything.
And
actually.
I built a trail going through the forest, and I go mushroom hunting. And the chickens will follow me down the whole trail, and I'll go pick mushrooms and find things, and they just come with me the whole time. And I just bring my container, and they were the best. They would follow me everywhere.
You look behind you. There's like little footsteps. Tee, 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 tee,
Everywhere. It was
Yeah.
incredible. And then after the fox, we can only let them out when we're supervising.
Yeah.
And they're terrified too.
Yeah.
Like, they don't want to.
So
So after the fox attack, did you find like immediately like reluctancy when the coop door would open and
Yeah.
stuff for them to go out and like
for like a week or two, they were traumatized.
Yeah.
Like at my dad's old farm, we had a raccoon go in and just terrorize.
Raccoons are the
Raccoons
are-
worst.
And it was
Yeah.
a
They'll just
bloodbath.
Rip them up like
Yeah.
for no reason.
Yeah, they
won't
don't even eat 'em.
The
No.
chickens wouldn't leave the coop for a week.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't leave the coop. They were traumatized. They no eggs, no nothing. And it was really sad.
Yeah, it's so sad to live in fear like that. You know.
They
I know
say
it's an
that
animal,
that's-
but still.
No,
Yeah.
it still
Like,
feels
it's so
fear.
sad.
They
Yeah.
say that lifestyle though, like the farmsteading, homesteading lifestyle, are like the first thing everywhere I look. The first thing they say that you got to get used to is death. They're like,
It's a part of it.
Yeah,
It's a
you're
part
just
of
When
it.
someone told me you're going to lose a chicken, I said, well, it's bound to happen with the predators of a forest. And then when it happened, I was like, it took a year before we had a problem with free ranging, but it was traumatizing.
Yeah.
Terrible.
You had a turkey die?
My neighbor's dog got loose and
No.
killed
No
it.
A little husky.
way.
I cried. It was a baby turkey. I just got them. I loved them so much. They were like little dogs. They'd follow me around everywhere. And one day I went into my backyard to go give them some like peanuts or something. And the neighbor's dog was running around with it hanging out of its mouth.
No.
And I was like, I can't even talk to the neighbor. Like, he came to the door. He's like, I'm so sorry, whatever. I was like, I can't even talk to him. Like, babe, can you just go handle it? It's so sad. But
Yeah.
it is a part of it.
Yeah.
Like, you have to respect their life, and you have to, like, even when we're killing them, to eat them.
It's like Avatar, you know, when she like
She was
says a
good.
little prayer.
Yeah.
Like,
Like, seriously, that's what it
That's
is.
what
Like,
I've
you
said that
respect
before
their
too.
life.
Like,
Yeah.
on the show, I've been like, you have to have like
Well,
an intimate. Otherwise,
yeah.
what the hell's the
The
point?
respect for the
when we
animal.
were
right?
killing them,
Exactly,
oh, that sounds terrible. When we were processing
Yeah,
them,
processing,
that sounds
right?
every
way worse.
single one that I would grab, I would be like, "Thank you, you're so cute," and I would like, because they love their neck being scratched, so I'd be like, "Thank you,"
With a
like,
knife.
"I'm sorry,"
No, just-
with a knife.
And I was
That
gonna
after,
say,
that
you're
was
so
after.
cute.
Wait,
Slit.
so how do you when you're processing your chickens? How do
Yeah.
you do it? Do you do like because I've heard people
Oh,
say
God, a
do the
cone.
neck break?
No, I couldn't do it. I couldn't.
Do you guys have
it-
a weak stomach? Because I have a
apparently-
video of how we do.
I do not. I would like to see
actually,
it.
I would love to
Yeah.
see
I
it.
took a video of the whole process.
I cried for the
because
first one, but Carly was like, she was in it. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you don't have a problem with any of that
I,
shit.
I don't really get grossed out, and I know that it's like, okay, so these are meat birds. After a
gonna eat
certain
them.
age, after 9 weeks, they just get so big,
Right.
and they're like modified to be like
They
these.
are. They grow
don't live
so
long
rapidly that they have
So
health issues after a
if you
certain
don't
age,
process
will
them,
die.
they get organ failure and they die. So I was like, I don't want their life to go to waste. So it didn't hurt me thinking that they lived the best life a meat bird can.
We
They
took care of
roam.
them. Like, we made
Right.
sure that they were comfortable.
Yeah.
They had
the
space.
cycle.
Happy chickens.
Yeah, to
Make
me,
happy
I
food.
knew that
Yeah.
if we didn't process them, and we did it probably in the most humane
kept
way we
one.
could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it did end up dying. Like, it got
too big
It
and
was
like-
I couldn't
like
walk.
25 pounds
Yeah.
Well, those are the birds that end up getting like deformities in their feet and
Yes.
stuff, right? Because of the weight.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
if I were going to do meat birds again, I don't think I would get those.
The-
Because they're
yeah.
not natural. It is so far from natural.
Yeah.
At 4
So where-
weeks old, they're huge.
Where are you sourcing your chicks from? Like, where do you just
Those ones,
locally,
the
or,
meat
like-
birds?
Yeah.
I had to go to a special hatchery in, I don't know where it was. It was like an hour away from my house. But they were cheap. Like, they're for day olds, you just buy them for like $2 a piece.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
And then, but the amount of money that you
I
put
was
into
gonna say,
raising them.
the actual
is
bird
a
itself is
lot.
not
Yeah.
expensive.
No,
it's the care.
everything else, yeah.
The care is crazy for them.
So you were mentioning before about some of them that have vaccines that were dying. So like, go further into that.
So when I first got them, they were vaccinated for Merrick's, and that's just like this chicken illness that happens, and pretty much once you get it, it's very contagious and it
Okay.
stays in the soil. So everyone vaccinates them from like day old. But the problem is a lot of chickens we were getting had like nerve problems and twitches and neck problems and
Which are
vitamin
clear signs
deficiencies
of
and weak
vaccine
joints and
illness.
like. And I'm not saying it's just from that. Like
Right,
the
right.
way
There
that
was a
she
lot of
bred them
inbreeding,
was very
too,
inbred.
Like, there
For
was,
sure.
It was a money gig for her, you know. Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't
Right.
like
Yeah.
she took care of them. It was like, if they die, they're chickens, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is
Which I
finance.
understand. Like,
Yeah.
farmers have that mentality, but they also take care of their animals.
Yep.
Right.
Like, you can be a farmer, mass producing, whatever, and still have a love for nature and,
Yep.
and she did
Incorporating
that.
the process,
Yeah,
natural
exactly.
process into it.
It
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
crazy to
She-
like
no.
see when I would get them. Like we had a lot of issues. Like a lot. We had one whose like little leg popped out of its joint. I had to like pop it back in, make a little cast for it.
And these
too.
are
We had-
tiny
Oh my-
little
And they were, like,
these are
falling
tiny little
apart, like-
chickens, and you watch them die, like in front of you.
Yeah.
Tiny little things, and we're trying to hand feed them. They stop eating, and
She
Oh.
gave
so
me eggs to
sad.
hatch, and so I had my eggs from my coop, and the eggs she gave me. All of mine popped out happy, healthy, roaming around. They were perfect. Hers, like what? All of them died.
of them.
They hatched, barely got out of the shell. I had to help them. They were so weak. And even though the shells were thin, they were just weak. And I would have to help them and pretty much take them out of the shell, put
They
them
say
back in
once
the
you help
incubator.
them, they're goners.
And
anyways,
I
if
gave
they
them to
can't get out of the shell
Mariah because
themselves.
she wanted that breed. And they just fell
I've
apart
seen so
and
many
died.
day-olds
And
die from her, and it's actually heart-wrenching.
So what is she doing to them other than?
It's just like breeding the same breed as purebreds because she'll
Okay.
get more money.
Not this one.
Right.
And inbreeding. It's so much inbreeding that they have like crooked toes and like just really
Yeah,
bad.
yeah.
Yeah.
So pretty
sense.
much here's the process. You can
Okay.
scroll to the next video so it doesn't start. There we go.
Oh my gosh.
If you guys want to
It's
see
kind
it.
of brutal.
Sorry, it
but-
took me a
Oh,
while
you
to
ready for this? This is chicken processing right here.
Oh my god.
Their legs
it's
would
kinda
twitch.
So
brutal.
you go face down in the. Oh, okay, interesting.
We built
So,
everything.
yeah, and they got the head coming out of the bottom of the bucket.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the knife.
Is it a quick?
It's a
And-
really sharp knife.
Very
Like,
of course.
very sharp knife.
And you just go clean cut off, right?
So no, you can't clean cut because their necks will literally spin and get blood everywhere. So you cut almost all the way, so you
jugular?
can still hold.
But you
You
still
cut
have to
everything so
hold
they
the
bleed
jugular
out.
side, right?
Yeah,
Except
exactly.
you leave part of the skin
Because we
so you
cut
can
the
hold
head right off for one of them, and it was like
everywhere.
well, yeah, that's what they say, and then like the nerves in their body and stuff,
They
like a
twitch.
chicken running
you
around
cut,
with its
yeah,
head cut off,
you
right?
cut enough
Right.
that they're
Move.
dead.
Wow.
Like they're, but. So
That's-
then after that, we would put it into this plucker.
defeatherer. So that
Oh, I've
it's
seen
like,
those cool little
Yeah,
devices.
it's
That
like-
saves a lot of
Yeah.
time.
Now it's like a bare chicken.
We used to hand pluck the first batch, and then Jack got this.
How long did it take you to hand pluck it? Like each chicken? Like 20
15 minutes,
Yeah.
20. But you have to dip
Yeah.
it in boiling water first so they come out easy, which
Yeah.
was
Right.
the most putrid smell you have ever smelled in
Ew,
your
it's
life.
so
Yeah,
much-
it's got all the nastiness
Oh.
and the
All the
feathers and
guts.
everything, right?
Gotta take all
And
the
so
guts
that-
out,
you'd have to
separate
clean
it
out.
all out.
Oh my god.
But I have like a weird talent for cleaning things like fish and like
Yeah.
filleting and cleaning. Like I have a weird, I'm really good at it.
For
It was
you.
hard for me to
It's
eat
your
chicken
calling.
after that for
Yeah.
a bit.
Adjusting,
It was.
going from like, regular suburban person to like processing your own meat birds.
It
How
happened
long
quick.
was the learning curve?
I
We
wanted
got
it right
thrown
away.
into it very quickly.
Yeah.
Like I didn't even want chickens, and Carly was like, "I'm hatching you some. It'll be ready in 10 days." And I'm like, "Carly, I don't think we're responsible enough for chickens. Like, I don't think you should do this." And she's like, "Well, 9 days. So
Yeah.
figure it
Yeah.
out. You're getting them."
So what was your first encounter like? Like, was it somewhat traumatizing? Was it like, oh, okay, it is what it is, or how
With-
did you guys feel after that? After the first,
Oh, after that,
defeathering and all
that was
that.
hard. After the first chicken, honestly, it was so glim. Like everybody was kind of like,
I just
okay,
played
this is
music
real.
so that we
like,
could.
We were trying to lighten the music. Carly's like, okay, let's bump the beats. I'm like,
Bump the
Carly,
beats,
read the
we're
room.
dancing. That's literally what it was. And
Once we
everyone's
got
like
into
crying,
it-
and I'm like, let's go.
Once we got into it, there was kind of
Yeah.
a system. It was pretty amazing to see how our family pulled together like that. Like
Yes.
everybody found a role, everybody was helping out. It was a huge process.
Right.
We had to defeather them, clean them, kill them. Everything had to be sterilized and cleaned. Everything
Yeah.
had to be processed and cut down into pieces, bagged, weighed, and frozen.
Right.
So like it was the way that we all came together to make that happen. It
was
was
great.
beyond impressive. Like
And we're a very close family to begin
Yeah,
with, so being able to rely on everyone, like
Yeah.
to come.
it was incredible. It
Takes
was
a
really
village,
incredible.
right?
Yeah,
It-
it does.
it does.
How many are you?
Our
terms of the
family,
processing, yeah.
like, oh wait, processing.
In terms
Well,
of
in terms of
like,
yeah,
yeah.
getting
Getting
involved,
birds
getting
and
involved with the
processing,
and
So-
all that.
We were probably 10 people.
probably 10.
Yeah?
That's a good
Okay.
team.
And
Yeah.
yeah, so we had like
And
people
that
in
wasn't
different
with everyone there. It
stations.
was just,
Yeah.
Right.
yeah.
What do you think the minimum like manpower to get it?
5.
How
You
many
think
chickens
that
do you
many
have?
people?
Like, yeah, because
To process,
be there
it's
all
so much.
day.
You have one person who's like bringing them, collecting, another person who is killing them. You have to have someone holding the feet because they squirms. I would hold the feet. Jack would have to hold the head.
Right.
And then we would have to have someone, and then we would dip it, and then
Dipping
someone has to be
them,
plucking it. As we're plucked,
plucking
someone
them.
has to be cleaning it, and then
Taking
one
out
person
the
has to be moving
organs.
stuff around.
cleaning. Somebody has to be on cleaning every
And
station
once you're
all the
done
time.
Wow.
cleaning out the inside, like removing all the guts and taking off the oil gland and doing all that, someone has to be cleaning the bird because the next bird's coming. So
And you
it was
can't
like a
let chickens
chain,
sit
like
in
a
the
yeah,
factory
assembly line
chain.
almost,
It was.
yeah.
It was
Yeah.
totally, yeah.
Fair
But
enough.
I mean, you could do it yourself, but you wouldn't get many done in a day. Like
So-
you need a good family line.
With
to
the
be
team,
efficient.
you said it was
Yeah.
still a full day event.
It was like
it was a full day event.
It was a full
for
day
sure.
plus the
Yeah.
next
Wow.
day of processing them into smaller
Yeah.
pieces.
And then how much meat did you guys end up
A lot.
with, like a whole year's worth, or
Well, by the time,
Probably,
how
yeah.
often would you consume meat? Like how often do you guys consume
Probably
meat?
like let's say like 4 days a week, but it's not
Okay.
always chicken.
right?
So we have
Right.
like we buy like half or quarter cows.
We
Yeah,
buy
yeah.
from
Farmers.
yeah,
One thing, yeah.
from
So
a
we have a
Mennonite.
stock freezer with beef, chicken, and then sometimes we'll have fish or whatever it is.
So how long would one chicken last you if you were consuming like 3 to 4 times a week?
Like
One
one
chicken?
chicken.
One chicken, yeah.
Well,
Like
think
one
about
day.
buying, yeah,
One
like
chicken a
think of
week?
one meal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
One chicken, one meal for a family.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
So we actually had some legs the other day because I was making like lollipop chicken. We didn't have enough, so
Yeah,
they'd
brought
come
some
bring them
over.
over, and
Yeah.
you just share. Like it's
Yeah, you had to.
Yeah.
yeah, you
Yeah.
do.
Food, you know?
You do. Yeah.
It's so interesting.
It is.
I want to get into it, but like my
And the
neighbors
quality
would
of the
not be
meat,
okay
like
with
you
it.
know where it's
Imagine.
coming
That's
from.
the
Because
goal.
right now, the hormones that they give the animals and the stuff that they inject into the meat, and even the processing way is just so
Just
cruel.
for
Like,
living conditions.
living
So
like
sad.
Have you seen
you know,
the
not-
industrial like
Yes.
Maple Lodge farms? Like
Oh my
Yeah.
people will like franchising. You know, like
on
Yeah.
a moral and health basis, having your
Yeah.
own meat and raising your own meat is probably one of the best, if you can, like best things to do. If not, to source better ways.
Yeah.
Like with the cattle, we get from a Mennonite, and I forget where he's located exactly, but
Grass
we
fed,
buy
grass raised, like
everything,
really
and
good.
he loves his cows, and he puts them down quickly, humane, and they process them. They use every ounce of it. We buy bones to make broth.
Good,
like
yeah.
you do everything you can to assure that this animal not only did not go to waste, but did not suffer.
Right.
So when I don't buy meat from grocery stores because the idea of that morally, and even knowing the conditions, like the tumors, and I've heard these horror stories about what butcher shops see and what different people
Oh
see
my
when it
gosh.
comes down to
Yeah.
actually processing the animal. Like they will let an insane amount, like they will be sick and oh no, okay,
Yeah.
let's just process
cut
and
that
kill.
part out, cut
that
the tube
part
out,
out
and feed it to
I
the
mean,
people, or
for the-
make it ground.
For the people who have like less motivation for that kind of thing, if nothing else, I've heard so many people go, there's a massive difference in the taste.
Yeah, well,
Incredible difference. It's a little tougher.
It's a
little
but
tougher,
the
yeah.
taste is clean. I find that sometimes I have nothing like against pork. It's just sometimes when I'm eating beef, you get that porky taste, or
no,
Okay.
not when you're eating beef.
when you're eating beef, like bad beef, I can taste that
Oh,
porky
bad
taste.
beef.
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Cheap
And when
beef,
I taste
yeah.
or eat bad chicken, it tastes like fish to me. Like I can notice that now that
You're
I've
waiting till
exper-
chicken tastes like fish? That doesn't sound good.
No, and it's
not the chicken we get.
No, and I'll get it from a grocery store, and I'm
Yeah.
like, this tastes disgusting. I can't
Yeah.
eat it sometimes, and it's mostly
gross.
the stuff that we process that I
I
can
get
eat.
grossed out like going to the grocery store.
So
and
in
buying
terms
them.
of the grocery store, now let's say you're buying a regular chicken from, non-organic, and then let's say they throw an organic label on it. What's the difference there between those two?
Well, it depends. Like, do we know that they're throwing an organic label on it?
No, let's
Or,
say there
like,
is an organic label
and it is
versus
organic?
they don't have an organic label, like organic versus non-organic.
So their feed, that's
Yeah.
the first thing. Like they don't get pumped full of hormones. They don't
Okay.
get pumped full of like antibiotics, stuff like that. Because when you're mass producing chickens and you're mass farming, you have to make sure that there's no disease. If you have one disease that comes into a space that big,
4,000 chickens
all of
in
your
one
fucking
coop.
you lose your
So
your
they would just
salary.
give them antibiotics
Pump
and give them
full of
different medications as
antibiotics.
prevention.
Yeah, as prevention. But consuming that stuff is so terrible for us,
Right.
like on a regular
Mm-hmm.
basis.
Right.
So that's one thing. Another thing is definitely their living conditions, I would say.
Well, I don't know if the organic has to do necessarily with their living conditions, because I find that a lot of the time, like you'll even see eggs labeled like free range, and it's like they're not
Well, free range versus free run.
exactly.
Right.
So there's different ways to word
loopholes
it.
that they can get around.
Like
with,
you see a
Right.
lot of big corporations that will buy meats. Like I think McDonald's had this problem where it was like 100% Angus or something,
100% beef.
or 100% beef, but that's like the company name.
was 100% beef.
So they
Right.
can
So
label it
it's-
as that, but that's not what it is. It's the
It's so
company
fucked.
name. So there's loopholes to literally everything. So
Yeah.
sometimes, like, I feel better about buying it knowing it's organic.
Absolutely.
But it's not. I don't know. I
You
find
can't trust
I'm
it.
happier eating a chicken that I know has no antibiotics, no hormones, none of that, rather than knowing it's organic. Because
Right.
I find that even the organic, they still give them stuff.
Unless you're
Yeah.
making it yourself,
Yeah.
you don't know.
Exactly. at the end of the
Exactly.
day.
Like 100%.
There's no way to know.
Yeah,
No,
unless you
and
brew
even
it yourself,
organic
you don't know.
produce, like the second they come over they spray them all.
Yeah.
So they're not really organic by the time they get to you. They're just
Yeah.
grown organically.
That's what I did this
Right.
morning. So this morning I woke up because we've had weird weather.
Yeah.
And so
I
now
know.
the warm weather's finally here to stay.
Yeah.
I went and I decided to move all my little, because I planted seeds in like
Yeah.
April. And I moved the ones that are big enough to my little outside potters. We built these like handmade
Oh,
potters
so
and stuff.
beautiful.
And so I moved them out today. And then I kind of was like reading my books and Googling as I was planting. I'm like, what to plant beside each other or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm trying like to not add anything. And so I kind of try to plant stuff. Basil apparently is like your big savior.
Yes.
So I'm
I
going to
love
try and get some
basil.
more basil going around to keep the pests away. But like whatever I lose,
And
I lose,
marigolds.
you know?
Yeah, if you
Put some
plant-
marigolds in. They're really great for
Marigolds.
pests and
Everybody
stuff.
has, like, when I
Yeah.
was looking today too, everything was like marigold, marigold, marigold. I'm like, I don't
They
know what the
help.
fuck marigold is.
Yeah,
Flower.
they help with
Yeah, it
pests, and they
helps.
also help with like just and they're beautiful too.
Yeah,
They have these big orange like flowers.
I planted weed plants too.
did
Apparently,
you?
cannabis helps keep pests away as well.
Hey.
Yeah, and you know
There you
what?
go.
When I would plant weed and when I would grow it, I don't even really smoke it. So I would just give the buds away and take the leaves, blend them up, and put them in smoothies because they're incredibly
Really good
healthy.
for you.
Like,
Super
your
good for
brain
you.
has like cannabinoid
Cannabinoids.
receptors,
Yeah.
Right.
So when you're ingesting this, like it kind of tastes good too.
I
It's
was-
not too earthy.
Yeah.
Okay.
My dad asked me for a bag of shake. When
Bag of
last
shake.
year when we grew batch, and then he was like, "I don't want the buds. I don't want none of that. I just want the shake."
Yeah.
So I got him some what is it? Stems and leaves, and then just
Stems
bagged
and
it up.
leaves.
Because it's like you have like 8 garbage bags worth of it. you
Yeah,
know?
Yeah.
it's a lot. It's a
No one's
lot.
gonna use it, and it's like
What did he want it for?
to take teas.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So he got that. I don't know. I haven't heard from him since I gave it to him. Hopefully he figured it out. But yeah.
He's having a good time.
So we'll see how this produce thing works. I also planted you ever heard of loofah?
Loofah. Is it the cucumber thing, right?
Yeah, and then when it dries out,
and
you cut it
up,
pieces and you can make sponges.
I wanted to do that and pour
Yeah.
soap into
Are
the
you
sponge.
serious?
Literally, nature's sponges.
No.
They exfoliate the same way like a store-bought
They're incredible.
synthetic loofah. Yeah.
You've seen them before. I know you have. It's like that funny shape, and it's got like the 3 holes, and it's that like.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I'll show
Okay,
you.
maybe.
Please
I'm,
show me
I'm
a
also
picture.
bad at
You've
describing
probably
things.
seen it.
A
Yeah.
I've probably seen it, yeah.
Loofah
I
plant.
see people who dump soap into it, and then they
Yep.
turn the loofah into like an actual, just like a soap thing too. So
Have you
as you're
seen that
rubbing,
plant?
like those beef tallow
Natural-
soaps.
Oh, beef tallow, yeah.
Yeah.
My dad bought a bunch of fat from a farmer and made his own tallow to like store stuff. I don't know, crazy.
It's a vegetable.
yeah,
I've seen those before.
And when they
dry them
yeah,
out.
they
I see.
dry out, and then when you cut them up, it's like a sponge.
yeah.
That's insane. Have you seen the plant where you squeeze it and it's shampoo?
Oh yes, it's
What is that?
I know the
It's
name
exactly what
too.
the
I'm
tomato is.
having a brain fart. It's
Yeah, it's
oh my god, I completely
inspired
forget
by
what
it.
it's called. But my mom and I were like, I wish I want to see it. You squeeze them and then they use it as
Have you seen
shampoo.
those? The shampoo plants? Like you literally squeeze a big bud on this plant and this goo
They only
comes
really
out.
grow in tropical
It's
countries, so-
shampoo. It's like
Yeah.
natural shampoo.
Yeah.
I've only seen a video of it, so yeah, that makes
I
sense. but-
actually I forget the name, but I started looking it up a bit with my mom. We're like, we need to try to grow
Coolest
this
thing.
here. It's so cool.
Coolest
And the
thing
next
ever.
day it fills up again, so it's like nonstop. And people literally
And
will
you
just take
put
it,
it
put it in
into
a
a
bottle,
jar.
and use that as their shampoo.
yeah.
What do
I
you
like that.
guys? What do you guys use for like shampoos, body washes, things like that?
We try. Well, like
Yeah.
I try and go to Nature's Healthy Planet. I know you do too.
Yeah.
Try and get something more natural. You know, read the ingredients on it, understand what they are, look them up if you don't know what they are. Little changes that you can make over a long span of time won't break the bank, but it
Yeah.
also makes a difference in your day to day. Like I know natural shampoo, conditioner, toothpaste.
I always get like
cosmetic
fluoride
creams,
free toothpaste.
Fluoride free.
Yeah, we
for
talked about
sure.
this last time you
Yeah,
came too.
but like
Right.
being completely honest, like there's really not many shampoos that are good. Even when we go to Nature's,
It's
like
hard
there's
to find.
still chemicals in there. You can find the lesser of the bad, but
Right.
there's not really many options for good, and there are a lot of ones that you can make, but no, who really has time to make them? So you end up just
That's
getting
the
one that's
problem.
I know.
better than the ones that you would normally get.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like just keeping
Detergents,
up
like
with a lot of
everything.
different routines, like making sure your deodorant is safe, using good toothpaste, different, like we make our own mouthwash, and it's got like the xylitol in it. It's got like different, it just helps to rebuild teeth. It's got essential oils. My mom makes it for us.
Oh,
but
nice.
a lot of the stuff that people use, they don't realize how toxic it is. Like a lot of the creams, I just use coconut oil. I just like get out of the shower and rub coconut oil all over me.
Yeah, 100%.
I use it for oil pulling. I have like tongue scrapers. Like people's like hygienic routines like revolve so much around chemicals that
Yeah.
Even baby
It's true.
stuff, like looking at
Yeah.
baby stuff, diapers and stuff like that. Like cotton, it's so heavily sprayed and the chemicals
Yeah.
leach into your skin. I bought this, or I was gonna buy this pillow, and it had a tag on it that said may cause birth defects and stillbirths. It was a pregnancy
But you'll
pillow.
get a nice
But
sleep
you'll sleep
though.
good.
Yeah. So, like, even your clothes can leach bad things onto you. So you have to find, like,
Yeah.
organic cotton or, like...
Yeah. And not only that, but the stuff you wash it with. Like, I can smell fabric softeners on people, and it gives me a
So
headache.
toxic.
Like, I will not touch. It's so, like, oh, it's slimy. You can feel on your
Now
skin
that I
after.
don't use, like,
And it-
store-bought stuff like that,
Yeah.
or, like, the
It
terrible
destroys
stuff,
your
I
nervous
get,
system.
rashes. If
Yeah.
I'm sleeping on, like, a bed and it smells like strong, perfumey
Yeah.
detergents, I get a rash
Yeah.
from it.
It makes you wonder though why they put so much perfume in like Tide or
Because
Gain.
I think
or,
just
like,
people like the
It's the
smell.
scent.
Yeah, they
And
just
that's
want
it.
I
they're
wonder
craving
if it's
that.
like
There's-
the addiction part of it, but then B, like there's if you didn't put that much perfume in it, it would smell like straight chemicals.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's true. Yeah.
Like you have
Yeah.
to like
Yeah,
deodorize
sure.
it.
But
What I
people think
do-
that like, oh, if it smells good, then it's clean.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it must be
exactly.
good.
That
Yeah.
automatically,
Yeah.
that's how they.
Well, what I do
associate
is
it.
I get like the citrus essential oils and just grab a sock
Right.
out of the wash,
Lavender,
fill it up, throw
like-
it into the like dryer,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
just circulates, and
Or like
everything
a wool
smells
ball
like oranges.
for like
and
dryer sheets. You
Yeah.
get a wool ball, put some essential oils on it, throw
And
it
that's
in.
it.
Everything smells like.
But I just
Right.
I
Whatever
you
can't
wanna do.
use the dryer sheets anymore. Even
There's
like
a natural one I found.
yeah,
From the Meyer
but it's just not
soap
worth it
company.
for me. Like
I
I
know,
don't
I
need
know.
that. I have the essential oils, and
Yeah, it's
but
true.
there are some good ones that you can use that actually smell good. I use them for
If
a
you
bit.
still want that scent and you want it to smell kind of perfumey but natural, there are options out there.
It's
Right.
interesting how fast like a natural lifestyle can like turn into a full-time job.
Oh my gosh.
If you really do it, like you have to almost have like
Yeah.
a homestead.
Making your own-
and, like,
yeah, well,
you're
doing-
you're sustaining yourself.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you
Small
quit your
changes.
job. You know what I mean? Like
you have to do small changes, like, but it becomes addictive. Like
It-
you fall
yeah.
down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Well,
Because
once
then
you
it's
start
like-
learning
tattoos.
more, you go, well, fuck, why am I doing that to myself? Once you start learning more, you just, you want to make those changes. So it's not even that it's hard, because you want it so bad. You don't want that anymore.
Yeah.
Once it becomes something that you just need to change, it's so easy. Like, once I started learning about the things I was doing to myself, I was like, no brainer. Like,
Yeah.
I'm out. I'm done. This is being changed.
Well, that's sort of like where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
We've been talking about it more, and you're getting into that. Well, you were there before I was. But, like, there's a weird place between I need to do what's economical, especially in this day and age, right? And then I need to take care of myself.
For sure.
Because, like, you know, I can protect my bank account right now, but when I'm 50 and I develop all these freaking diseases
I know.
from using all of this, you know, like...
Yeah.
So that's the thing that actually freaks me out a lot,
Me
because
too.
when I start seeing all these people who are doing things that are just completely like ripping apart like their myelin sheath and destroying their nervous system, I'm like, you're going to be like 40 and you're going to have memory problems and eyesight problems, and everyone's going to be so sick in like 20, 30 years that they're not going to know what to do, and then they're going to rely more on the medical field.
Yeah.
What really gets me is like when people are like, well, it hasn't affected me yet.
Yeah.
Like, I drink Coke every day and I'm fine. No, it's going somewhere. You know that one day all of those will add up and it will show up somewhere.
Well, it's like
just because it takes time.
Improper lifting, what they say with your back or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, everything that you've lifted improperly up to 25, you're fucked. It's over.
Exactly.
By the time you're 50, you're stuck with
too
that.
late.
It's done. It's
too
over.
late. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then people are really sitting there like, well, I'm 23 or whatever. Stop lifting heavy things
Yeah.
incorrectly. It's
it's like-
over. The damage is done.
Yep.
You compare the amount of time and change that you'd have to put in now to create a better life versus the amount of change and time you'd have to put in once it's too late.
Yeah.
You will
Yeah.
do everything. You'll quit your job. You'll try and do a 180. You'll do whatever you can to get healthy again, because once you're sick, it's the worst thing ever. Like, you've worked so hard for a life.
It's so difficult. It blows my mind that the natural way of life is so far removed
I know.
from us today. Like, why
I
is it so
know.
difficult to
You
just
know
be
what?
normal?
When
I
people
know.
tell me, they're like, "Oh, that's so weird that you do this and do that." I'm like,
Is
"How is
it?
it weird that I'm not using
Like,
chemicals
yeah,
that
is
haven't
that
like?"
strange?
It's weird that I'm going back to like real roots.
Yeah.
What it
How
is
is that strange?
what it is, I think, is it's think about it, all the processing and all the things that they do, make whether that's like making your own deodorant, toothpaste, you know what I mean, having your own coop, like those are things that take time.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah.
Whereas your average person can just go to the grocery store. There's my deodorant. There's the shampoo.
Yeah.
There's the chicken.
but
They're
it's
right
like how
there.
much
I
time
bought
do you watch
them.
TV every day?
I know.
Yeah.
So it's
But
like,
that's the thing,
how
it's
bad
easy.
does it hurt
Yeah.
for you to change it? You know what I mean?
For sure. Well, then it's
It's convenient.
So
though,
I
for sure.
actually
Convenient.
started thinking about, it was a while ago when someone said to me, they're like, "Well, I never have time. I work like 8 hours a day."
Right.
And I was like, "That's so true. People work a lot." And then I sat down and I thought, like, you still have an extra 7-8 hours to do something with your day.
Yeah.
right.
Like,
You've created a
the
habit,
same amount.
so you don't think
yeah,
that you have
people
the
are
time,
so
but
fixated on how long you work that you don't realize that you have still a lot of time to yourself. You would just spend your whole day, sitting down and just like feeling drained from work, that you don't put any time into feeling better. So everyone just always says, "Well, I don't have time. I don't have time. I don't have time."
Or I'm
Well, you make
exhausted,
time for
like-
things that
Yeah.
are important.
Yeah.
If you
And-
knew how important it was,
Yeah.
you would make the time.
But that's why I say, like, ideally, like, I can't make my own shampoo and conditioner and make my own toothpaste and do all that, but I will buy things that I know are better. But in certain ways that I think it's really important, like food and water, I will go out of my way to do things like that. But the shampoo and conditioner, I actually don't.
Lesser
Like,
of the
I have
evil.
time, obviously, but, like, I don't want to spend my time doing that when I can be doing other things.
Yeah,
Gardening
absolutely.
and-
Yeah.
It also
No,
helps. You guys have a good amount of people as well that are all into this, that are all
Yeah.
Our
contributing.
entire
Lucky
family
we're
is on
surrounded by
the
people.
same path.
You have a little
So-
community basically. Of,
Exactly.
we do.
So
We
that
do.
makes it
We're
a lot
lucky.
easier.
That's what I do. I
Absolutely.
spend my time sending memes to my friends. Be like, let's all quit our jobs and
100%.
buy a farm and live
God.
together.
Not
Send
sending
it
to you all
to
the
me too.
time.
I'm
All
hungry,
the time.
guys.
Yeah, include us. We're
Yeah.
It's such a great idea though, and it blows my mind that more people. So I've been looking at it more and more, and our generation specifically, a lot of people. It's mostly in the U.S., but a lot of people
Yeah.
are doing it. They're like buying old rundown schools,
Yep.
Yeah.
turning them into like apartments, and then the entire schoolyard is just
Everybody
animals and
contributes.
plants
There's-
growing, and
yeah,
they're
gardens.
exactly
Yeah,
like you said, a
exactly.
teamwork
Yeah,
thing. And
I
like,
saw a photo. They did the same thing, except it was her whole family on this property, built houses all in a circle, had a big community fireplace in the middle, and I was
Love
like,
that.
"That's it. That's
Right?
what I need a community."
it.
I'm
That's how
actually
we gotta do it.
You know what though? They have groups, so I'm actually part of a group on Facebook as well.
It's a cult.
It is.
I was
a
gonna
cult.
say
Yeah.
it can sound culty at times. I'm
Yeah.
sure.
Drink
Yeah.
and
It's literally communities, and
Yeah.
people will talk about planning communities, and a lot of them are pre-planned, and like you have to literally show them I can do this, and you have to bring a skill to the table.
Yeah.
And once you do, then you join the community, and
Or
you
learn
don't
a
pay to
skill.
be there, but you all work
Yeah.
together.
Yeah. Well, that's what
Makes
it
sense.
takes. It really does take a village. And if you think about it, like people always talk about it, this is what they sell us to get us into like the workforce here and work our 9 to 5s or whatever. Well, we're all different. We all have different skills or whatever. Yeah. Why don't we apply that to the natural world?
Yeah.
And then everything you could possibly want. Shampoo, conditioner,
Yes.
laundry detergent. Somebody will do it.
Because
somebody
for
knows
one
how
person
to
to
do it.
do all that is close to impossible.
Exactly.
You will be so overwhelmed, but you can prioritize your
When you
time to
get
do things that are
together,
important to you.
like,
Someone
yeah.
else can do something else, and,
And
you
don't
share.
you find it's easier to make things from scratch when you're making it in bulk?
God,
Yes.
it is.
We do bone
Absolutely.
broths. Like, we
Right?
do huge pots of bone broths, and
Yeah.
then we can them.
And that's
Nice.
when I go to
Nice.
make soup or make anything. I'll just take
Always.
a bone broth out of the freezer and use
Or, like,
that.
ferments. We
I was
do
gonna
them
say,
both,
have you
like-
done much in like the realm of preserves and stuff, like
So-
pickling and like jarring for like the winter?
Not
I-
so much pickling,
yeah.
but preserving, like canning. So
Yeah.
you take jars, like mason jars, and you seal them in a canner, pressure canner.
Right.
We've kind of started dabbling in that a little bit
Yeah.
in my household, but it's more for like soups and stews and stuff. You
That's
can
what-
actually
yeah.
do vegetables, and I haven't tried that yet, but I want to. I've seen videos of people like they grow enough food for the year, and then they preserve it in the cans. They go,
Yeah.
okay, we've got like 52 of these, whatever.
That's the only way
So
homesteading
cool.
would work in Canada, right?
Right.
In the winter, unless
Yeah.
you had the
Prepare.
resources to make like a freaking winterized
Yeah.
greenhouse.
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
more money, more time.
like
That's
that's
the
tens
thing,
of
yeah.
thousands
I
of
know.
dollars.
It's
Then
a
you're
lot.
then you're full time committing to it, right?
Yeah.
Then it's,
That's
yeah.
your job.
Which is
yeah.
the idea. It's kind of like you're all in, right? You got to be all in terms.
But me and my girlfriend, we talk about all the time like seasonal eating, and then
Yeah.
in Canada,
Yeah.
the seasons are
I
so
know.
aggressive and long and different that like. I don't know. Is there enough time in the year for you to grow
But
your
I
own
find
food
that
in Canada?
naturally
All-
people will always end up doing that. Like, when you're cold in the winter, you crave like a nice warm soup.
Yeah.
Or like in the summer when it's a hot day, you don't want a thick hot soup. You want a salad. So
Yeah.
naturally your body kind of migrates towards that. But
Right.
with restaurants and AC and everything, we've just been.
We don't know anymore.
We don't know
we're
anymore.
We're so
Like-
far from it. Yeah.
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 It's so true.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
it blows my
especially,
mind.
yeah.
I mean, but the part that makes it difficult is the bylaws. Like I've been looking into it from Aurora specifically because we live in Aurora.
Yeah.
They make it really difficult
I know.
for you to like grow stuff. Well, specifically animals, but still, like
Mm-hmm.
you don't have a lot of space in your backyards. Especially all these new houses going up. They're
Oh my gosh.
right on top of each
Yeah.
other. So even if you did grow like a little garden out there, you can't grow a year's supply of food.
No.
Like the most you can do is like, oh, I grew 3 peppers. Let's try it. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
I know, it's so
$400 of
true.
gardening expenses, and you
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
like what
How many
$3
hours?
worth of freaking
Yeah.
produce out of it. Like, and they
true.
make it hard. It's
I
almost
know.
like on purpose.
Well, you know what? A lot of there was a lot of talk about stopping gardening, trying to convince people not to garden because they were saying that the bacteria from the soil is really detrimental to your health.
Yeah,
That is the
contaminated
oldest-
soil.
That is
And
the oldest
I'm
thing
like,
got
that
there.
okay.
people have done is grow their own food.
Yeah.
Like your
Literally how we
skin
survive.
absorbs so much, and the bacteria is so good for you. Your body thrives on good bacteria.
Hey, I'm glad you brought this up. This is something I've been itching to talk about.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the difference between good bacteria, living your life with bacteria, and sterilizing fucking
Okay.
You would die
everything?
if you didn't
Yeah.
have bacteria.
Thank
You
you.
have
Right.
bacteria. You have
Yeah.
yeah.
Your body,
100%.
like your microbiome is your brain. Like it control 100, not 99, 100% of
It's in
every
your
illness.
microbiome.
Yeah, 100% of every illness that you get starts in your gut. And a lot of that's, well, no one now has a balanced microbiome because a lot of the stuff that we take just destroys your gut.
and antibiotics.
Antibiotics
Absolutely killed
completely.
everything.
And you build a resistance to antibiotics too,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is crazy.
It's absolutely
Yeah.
nuts,
And then
yeah.
the pathogens you take in build a resistance to it.
Oh
so
my
you just
gosh.
fuck up your gut.
You've-
And then you get like super bugs coming in. Have you heard about super gonorrhea?
Super
No.
gonorrhea. What the fuck?
super
You heard about
gonorrhea.
super
Gonorrhea.
It's a new STD taking over the young people.
Oh,
Because
Super gonorrhea.
everybody gets an STD nowadays. Call up the doc. Here's a pill. Take it. Wait 3 days. Good to go. Right? So now gonorrhea's like, I see your antibiotics and I, raise
see
you.
it. I'll
Yeah.
one up you. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
And now we have
Uno
super
reverse.
gonorrhea and no medication that can take care of it. So
We're fucked.
don't be silly. Wrap your willy.
We're
You know what I'm saying?
Just
Yeah.
practicing
Nowadays.
abstinence. That's
Yeah.
it.
And it's called super gonorrhea. It's hilarious. It's not hilarious, but it's crazy.
You're like, it's hilarious.
someone needs to
And it's-
make like a little sign of like gonorrhea with a cape on.
Yeah,
Super gonorrhea.
And that was directly caused by exclusively antibiotics, the use of
Yeah.
antibiotics.
Yep,
And
100%.
excessive use of it.
It's funny you don't see that very. You don't see that out there a lot.
Nope.
Eh?
I saw the name super gonorrhea. I'm like, what the fuck is super gonorrhea? It's
What
a
is going
joke.
on?
Google it.
It almost sounds like a joke.
It does.
Yeah. Honest to God.
Look it up. It's incredible. It's horrifying, but it's
It's
super
incredible.
gonorrhea.
And,
Super gonorrhea.
Yeah, no, because it's a living thing. It's a virus
Yeah.
or bacteria or whatever the hell it is, right?
That is just, like, mutated
it's
to-
adapting.
yeah.
It's trying to find a way to survive just like the rest of us, right? And we keep slamming it with antibiotics, and it
Shows
goes,
how
fuck
weak
you.
our bodies are now, though, because we're relying on antibiotics and stuff like that.
Right?
Our own
Yeah.
immune system can't fight off that it mutates. It becomes some bigger thing. Like,
Yeah.
it's actually insane.
Do you actually want to know something really cool, like along the lines of like sterilization?
Send it.
So in one of my classes, we were talking about babies and the umbilical cord, and
going
it was so they were telling us a story. It was these tests done on women who were having like vaginal births, and your body produced this like coating, this bacterial coating for the baby as a protective to pretty much be absorbed into their skin and be their immune system.
Like the big
becomes
jump
Yes.
start
your
for
immune
like, hey, you're in the
system.
world now.
Exactly.
It literally
Right.
sinks
So
in and becomes
they
their immune
they
system.
tested some babies that had a normal vaginal birth, and the babies had the same bacteria that the mother did.
Right.
And then they started testing C-sections, and they tested the babies for that, and they had identical bacteria to the nurse's gloves that removed the baby or was holding the baby. The same
Isn't
bacteria
that
that were on the
wild?
gloves. They didn't have the mothers. They didn't because they weren't coated because they absorbed through their skin.
Right.
So people don't understand how important your skin is as an organ. Like the
Right.
baby's first bacterial encounter
Yeah.
was in nurse's gloves. And even though they're sterile, they still obviously pick up bacteria from the air and pick up bacteria from, and it was identical testing the gloves. So it was really crazy to see that
That's so
your
interesting.
skin is literally this absorbent organ. So when you're sterilizing and putting all the, what's it called, the alcohol
Yeah.
on your
the
hands,
hand sanitizer.
Yeah.
you're
You're
pretty
killing the
much
good stuff, too.
you're
You
removing
are.
the
Yeah.
good bacteria. Therefore, you're actually more susceptible
Yep.
to
To
opportunistic
the bacteria,
bacteria.
Yep.
So people don't understand that. They think they're killing bacteria, but realistically, you want bacteria.
You need to
go
feed
to the
your
store,
good bacteria
get
Yeah.
so it
probiotic
can fight
supplements,
it.
roll in the soil. Like
Yeah.
your
100%.
immune system that you get from actually walking barefoot in the grass and touching things. You don't want a sterile environment. Like, you don't.
So during COVID, when everyone was Pureling their hands every 30
I'm licking
seconds.
mine. I'm kidding.
Yeah, Carly's like touching, going
I'm
water in.
kidding. But I was never scared, and honestly, it scares me more to use the Purell
Yeah,
than it
I
does.
agree.
I always fake it. I'm not gonna lie.
I do too. And they're like, you need to
hand
hand
sanitizer.
sanitizer to get in the store. I'm like, yeah, I got it.
This one right here, my girlfriend, she always shit talks me when I get in the car and I got my dirty hands and whatever, and she's like, Purell, you want something? I'm like,
I
no,
can't
it's
do it.
good.
That's
It makes me
funny.
strong.
Can't do it. You gotta
No.
build your immune system.
When I was a kid, though, when I was delivered, I was a C-section baby.
Yeah.
And then I was like a colicky baby.
Yep.
And so, like, you think about that's your gut, right?
Yeah.
Colicky is like,
It
you
is.
know? And I didn't
Well, they
have,
say that
Yeah.
if you're like born through a C-section, a lot of the time going through life, you have more allergies or
My
autoimmune
sister
or more
was
issues.
autoimmune. She was also C-section.
Yeah. So it was just crazy. I thought it was bizarre, like the same coating as the mother versus
Also,
the nurse's gloves. Like I thought that
like,
was crazy.
For people who are choosing C-section, like not having to do with health issues, but choosing to do that, why are you changing something that you don't understand?
Yeah.
There are so many things to the aspect of birth that's so natural. It's literally been here since
The
we've
beginning
been
of
here.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they
Why are
do
you
make
changing
rubs
it? Like
that you
why
can
are
put on the baby.
Yeah, if you do have to get a C-section, both me and my sister again were like emergency C-sections. Whatever, we lived, we're here, but you can do things to make sure that they're set up with a good immune system.
Yep, they
There's,
have like
natural
bacterial rubs that
and
you can
things
actually
like
put on the baby in order to give it a proper gut bacteria.
Right.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So, and then that makes me curious to think about too. Like nowadays, and I've seen, I guess it's my age and the relationship. TikTok knows where I'm at in life, so I see a lot of like baby videos on TikTok.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things people always talk about is like how easy and fast babies get sick and stuff. And you look at these parents, and these are like the Lysol wipe parents,
Yeah. Oh my
wiping
gosh.
everything down, and they go,
Oh, yeah.
"Oh, my mom came and she touched my baby's face and they got sick." And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like,
That's not
imagine
normal.
the human species getting
If they
to
were
this
that-
point
yeah,
because of
exactly.
that, and tell me that there's not
Exactly.
something you're
I
introducing in your
argue this
environment
all
to
the
cause
time.
that.
I've never had one shot. Not when I was a baby.
Me
Not a
neither.
vitamin K shot.
Never
not a
had
vaccine.
anything.
No, I've never had
Not a flu
anything
shot,
put into my body.
nothing.
Right, okay.
And I'm perfect. I don't have any issues. I I feel great all the time.
Obviously, it depends on how you treat your body. If
For
you're
sure.
McDonald's,
Oh, yeah.
but you never
But I mean, like, as a
you know
kid,
what I
I
mean?
barely got sick.
No.
I barely had
we were
any
outside
problems.
all the
Same here.
time.
I get
eating
once a
dirt,
year I'll get a
fucking
cold.
whatever.
Yeah.
Usually because
exactly.
I'm an idiot and go outside when I like
Yeah.
want to hold on to the warm weather and it gets too cold and I'm like, I'm still wearing a t-shirt. Boom, sick.
It's true, but people will look at me and say, "Well, how did you
How
do
are
this?
you
How did you do
normal?"
that?" I'm like, the biggest struggle of not being vaccinated was school.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Right.
had
It
to
was
get
the
a
biggest-
lawyer
was the
to, like,
political
get me
part.
back into school because
Yeah.
I wasn't allowed.
It
'Cause they
wasn't
were
the
like,
health; it was the political part
Yeah.
behind it,
Yeah.
which really sucked.
Well, they were
because-
kicking out students that weren't getting it.
Yeah,
Right?
and not just the COVID, like everything.
No,
When
before
I was-
it was
that,
our
yeah,
religion.
way
Before
before
that,
that.
my
Well,
mom
yeah,
had to
yeah,
claim
yeah.
religious
We had to
reasons.
say religious because
Right.
we're like Jewish.
Yeah.
We can't have any injections or
Yeah.
shots or anything.
Yeah.
So we had
That
to
didn't
get like
pa-
an
that doesn't
affidavit
pass
from a
anymore, though.
lawyer.
It doesn't. No,
That doesn't
No.
pass anymore.
No,
Not for
I did
this,
when we were
not for
younger,
this time.
thankfully.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it doesn't. And
Yeah.
when I see people who are just like, "Oh, well, that's so weird," I'm like, "Well, it's weird to not be natural."
Well, think about how
Like my
Why are
body's
you relying
natural.
so
like,
much
I,
on these substances? Like,
Yeah.
don't you trust your body? You know what I mean?
exactly.
and
Yeah.
the people who tell me that are always sick, and I'm like, "Well, who's
Yeah, who's wrong
What's
here?
happening?"
if you put these systems up beside each other parallel, they look exactly the same.
Yeah.
Doesn't it sound unsettling? Like mass-produced farming, those chickens, 4,000 in a coop, and children in a school
Yeah.
needing to get vaccinated
they
in order to
say,
be present.
Raise your
Sounds-
children, or the government does,
Yeah,
right?
literally.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
that's another
Yeah.
thing. Homeschooling.
I want to.
You're a mom to be.
Yeah,
On the way here.
on the way here.
Yeah.
I want to homeschool.
It was a hard sell for my boyfriend. Like, I'm like, I want to homeschool, and he's like, I want them to be normal. Like, I want them to be
the
socialized.
big
You know what I
thing,
mean?
yeah.
He agrees with it because the curriculum is so fucking far fetched now.
Yeah.
So he agrees in that sense, but he's like, you know, I had so many fond memories of like growing up and being on sports teams and this and that. So we were talking about it, and a good solution to that would be like homeschooling to the age of around 10.
Yeah.
So
Right.
they know the foundation of what they're going to be learning in school and like what we believe is the right stuff to teach them.
Right.
Right.
And then they go into a normal school system where,
They
and
get the
throughout the
social
whole
element.
process, they also join clubs, sports,
course.
dancing.
Yeah, you
whatever.
have
to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you socialize them.
Yeah.
But to have that base when their mind is being developed and they know that like school isn't your Bible, school isn't your God. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like there's other things out there. You have to make your own decisions. You have to trust yourself. That's a good way to send them off. I would
Yeah.
say.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
So what did you guys agree on?
I think age of 10. But
Is
I
that-
haven't
yeah?
brought this up to my boyfriend yet. We were discussing this
Oh,
in
okay.
the car.
Maybe
we
we'll-
agreed. We fine.
So
we
this
agreed.
is an element I took to like my friends and my girlfriend. Even you have taken this too. If you do the communal thing, right, where you have like a bunch of people, whether it's friends or family, living
Yeah.
together, and you're
Yeah.
like, then you can. That opens up the door to homeschooling a group of children
100%.
together.
Yes.
Social
I was
element
saying
taken
that.
care
I was
of.
like,
Everybody does
well,
the subject,
yeah.
Right?
you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Carly can do foraging, Nate can do building, like whatever it is. And
Obviously,
all
you have to do
the
math and
normal
science,
curriculum,
right?
you do
'Cause
the
it-
normal
Yeah.
curriculum.
And then
but
it's not that hard to do.
No,
if you
it's
look
not.
into it, the school board, or not school board, the province,
Yeah.
they give you the curriculum.
They give you
Yeah.
everything you need.
This
Yeah.
is this is the
This
curriculum
is the bare minimum.
for you to get the OSSD eventually, right? I don't know how they work it in school. In elementary schools, they have trimesters, right?
Right.
And then so they basically go, what is that? 3 months, 3 months, 3 months, something like that for the whole school year, right?
Yeah.
And then you basically have 9 months for your kid to learn all of the curriculum that you're being told you have to teach them. 9 months.
You can do
Instead
it.
of
It's
sitting
like-
down every day at 8:30 doing
Yeah.
the same shit until
Yeah.
4 p.m.
It's so routine too, and it's just like
One
You're
strategy
teaching them to be
teaches
an employee.
everybody.
School teaches
Literally.
somebody to be a
Yeah.
government employee.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like get used to working for nothing.
If
pretty
little
much.
Tommy seems to be more academically inclined and can sit down for hours on end doing the work,
Perfect.
Tommy can get
100%.
9 months work done in 3.
Yeah.
Perfect. Now you've got the rest of the 6 months to do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Then you have another kid who might be a little slower to the
Yeah.
punch. Fine. You break it up into smaller
fine.
increments over the 9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then everybody's leaving that school system having been taught the way they learn and are at the
So-
same level of maximum efficiency.
Also,
I
like
think
real
I-
life examples too.
Yeah.
Like
Exactly.
throw some earth in there. You know
I,
what I
I
mean?
Yeah.
don't like the fact that they will literally categorize you as either smart or
Dumb.
academically like
ADD.
They named it when we were in
Declined,
school.
like,
Academic
whatever.
and applied.
Yeah,
they named
exactly.
it. They
Yeah,
named it.
so I
Exactly.
really don't like that because I think a lot of the time when you look at someone who's like really great at school and following really good at math, I can't do that math they're doing. I'm like, I don't know how you did this, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. But like you
Yeah.
put me into a forest, I can build you a full course meal.
And you know how to
Yeah.
slaughter a chicken and
And-
fillet and
And I think a lot of the time, like if this world were to like collapse right now, you lose technology, you lose
Yep.
all, who's surviving?
Who's going to survive? Exactly.
Like, who's surviving?
100%.
Because a
And
lot
for
of the
how
basic
long?
skills for survival, a lot of the kids aren't being taught.
Even understanding your body, like knowing what is
You
going
never
on, what you
learn.
need to be healthy.
No.
There's like one half-ass class that doesn't teach you anything.
No.
Yeah.
It was like the health class that they had. Like, it was like the bare minimum. Like, it wasn't until I went to school for holistic nutrition
your
that I
milk,
literally
like-
had to study like the Krebs cycle, like all these cycles that you are just doing right now. And you don't
Without
even know what's
knowing
going
it.
on.
Right.
People don't even know how their body functions, but yet they're teaching them that the most important thing is this math equation or how to
Pythagorean theorem.
Get a good job.
seriously.
That's the most
Who the
important
fuck
thing.
is Pythagorean
Get a good
and
job.
why is
Just make sure you get a good 9-to-5 job,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, make sure
Yeah.
you have a good job and make sure you obey the law. Like, well, obviously, I'm not going to say that anyone should do anything illegal, but I'm just saying, like, I don't think that they teach really important things. Like,
I
they don't
agree.
teach you how to. I think gardening should be a really important lesson.
So
100%.
I
Your
remember
own food source.
in grade 3 or 2, something like that, we did have a class in science.
You got to grow a bean.
Yeah, where we grew a green
Yeah.
bean in a
So
plastic
cute,
cup
yeah.
out the window, right? Yeah, I wonder
And
is
you
that
got
still
to
in the
write your name on the
curriculum?
cup.
I doubt it.
Right?
You know what? I remember I was in kindergarten. They gave us a spearmint. I grew in a cup. I brought it home. I planted it in front of my yard, and I had it till I left the house.
It's so
Yeah.
like
rewarding.
20, 25 years. It was like a
Literally so
sentimental
rewarding.
thing.
Yeah,
'Cause
100%.
That thing grew like weeds.
Yeah.
Like it took
Mint?
over.
Mint?
Spearmint. Oh my
You
god,
can't
it took
plant mint
over.
somewhere
Anything
that you
else. It
don't
has to
want it
just
to
be
be.
mint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
mint in a corner of our house, and we just planted a bunch of different types, and they just intertwined, and they took over.
Yeah.
I'm devastated to hear this because
It's incredible.
peppermint was it spearmint? Oh, peppermint was one of the seeds I planted and it didn't take.
Oh, really?
Spearmint will. It'll
It'll end up being
I planted like
for
30
sure.
seeds and I got like 22 of them. 22, that's a pretty good return,
Yeah.
right? For seeds.
And they
planted.
didn't take?
I planted 30 different seeds and
Oh,
then 22 of them took.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
You're
not bad,
doing
huh?
good.
Last year, none took, but
Do
Yeah.
spearmint.
improvements.
Do spearmint. They're cool.
Yeah.
You can walk by, just grab one off
What
the
do you-
leaf, and just
It's
kind of
good.
I
chew
dry
on it.
them and I
What
keep
can
them
you
for
do with them?
teas.
Yeah.
So do you know very much about like herbal?
I studied
Medicine?
herbal medicine.
Yeah?
I do, yeah.
She's
and so
good.
I grow a bunch of herbs and I dry them and I grind them and I make different
When we were
spices.
little, we
and
used to go through the forest and pick a
We'd
bunch
forage.
of stuff, dry them out, and make health teas.
like
When
wild
we were
carrot,
young.
and we would dry like a raspberry leaf, and like we would just go and we grew up wild crafting.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Okay.
Right.
we would do this. We'd bring home plants, and obviously, like you have to be careful teaching.
I was gonna
things like
say
this
it's
to your
very
kids
dangerous.
because
There's
Yeah.
identical
you ha-
to almost everything that our
There's a
food is,
look-alike for every
look-alike. Yeah.
And I always joke about the mushrooms. It's just like this one really great for your health. This one kills you. They look the same. like
No,
you
you
have to
should.
do
Like,
spore prints
yeah.
and actually check them. So it's same with plants. Like they always have a dangerous look-alike. So you have to like double check and triple check, even quadruple check, and then when you still eat it, you're a little antsy in the beginning. Like
Okay.
you have to be really careful when doing this. You
I've
can't
never
just-
heard this, and you've opened up a new fear.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Well,
That's like
All these good
necessary.
things have a look-alike.
Don't
You
just-
have to do
just
every
eat random
shit.
Like an
seriously.
evil clone.
Yes, it is.
Like I had a bunch of honey mushrooms growing in our backyard, and I knew they were honey mushrooms, but I still took a spore print just to be sure. Like you have to
Explain
be
a
extra.
spore
How?
print.
Yeah. What? Yeah. Explain.
So
that.
pretty much you take like a drop of water, you put it on the mushroom, or you don't even have to. You just put the mushroom. I like to do it on like a tinfoil or a piece of paper so that you can see it, and it leaves the gill lines or the lines from
Like
the
you know
mushroom.
when you put a piece of a leaf under a paper and you shade it over top of it,
Yes,
every
yeah,
line
yeah.
comes out.
That's what the
kinda
mushroom
it looks
does.
like when you put the
it
print on.
It's really cool. It leaves the spore print. What spores, mushroom
Yeah, yeah.
spores,
Yeah.
like it leaves the print in the shape of the mushroom. So when I found like some wild enokis, I've just laid one down to get a spore print. It was so beautiful. I was like, I just want like art pieces of like.
And you
Wow.
can tell,
That
like
is
the
fascinating.
bad ones will have a different print. And
Yeah,
that's
so
where
some
you
will
can
have
tell
brown
the
spore prints, some will have
differences.
white. It just depends what you're looking for.
See,
So-
mushroom foraging is another freaky one
It's
because there's
dangerous.
I
so
love it.
Our
many
grandmother,
bad
right?
ones.
She ate
Yeah.
a mushroom and she ended up in the hospital like when she was younger. She's like
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
the backyard, whatever, and
She was like,
There's-
"This one's beautiful. I have to eat it." Got her stomach pumped. She was like,
Yeah. Oh my
"Yeah,
God.
terrifying."
There are
way.
mushrooms too that
Kill
are
you.
like,
It can
oh,
kill
it's
you.
poisonous if it's not cooked at this exact
Yeah.
temperature
So
for
I
this
actually,
exact amount of time.
yeah. Well, that's the same with the honey mushrooms, the ones
Yeah.
that we are cooking. You have to very, very thoroughly cook them, or else you can have some problems. Not
Yeah.
necessarily die, but like gastrointestinal problems.
Right.
You might have severe cramping, maybe nausea. Like, so,
Yeah,
some
mushrooms-
other side effects.
Mushrooms,
But-
you got to be careful to eat because they'll eat you back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, they
mushrooms-
say even
mushrooms are-
portobellos are dangerous unless they're
Unless
cooked at a
they're
really high
cooked.
temperature.
Right.
Really?
Yeah.
Right.
I learned that on a Joe Rogan podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, did
Yeah.
you?
Oh my God.
I
Yeah,
did.
I've heard
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, apparently portobello mushrooms, you have to cook them at a really
And, like, who
long,
knew?
high temperatures,
I
or
didn't
else
know
they're
that.
dangerous and very inflammatory. And I think that no one really knows anything
No.
about plants and mushrooms in medicine
Not
anymore.
anymore.
They just
And
kind of
even
go to the grocery
cooking,
store
like
and
cooking
hope.
these things, preparing them, turning
Yeah.
them into your food. Like it's a whole there is a whole process.
Yeah. Well, there's my favorite mushroom, the Amanita muscara. It's like a fly agaric mushroom, and
It's
this,
like the stereotypical red and white.
it's like that
dotted.
Christmas
Oh,
mushroom,
right, yeah.
the
That
reindeer,
one.
you know,
Yeah, yeah.
So it's one of my favorites because it pretty much has all properties. It's medicinal, psychedelic, edible, and poisonous.
Wow.
But depending on the way that you prepare it.
All 4.
All 4, depending on how you prepare it. So in certain, so you have to boil it with water at a certain quantity, dump the water because it removes the toxins, and
Yeah.
then from there you can fry it and cook it thoroughly. But if you just eat it raw, it's poisonous. But then certain prepared dried ways, it can be psychedelic, but it also can have like medicinal properties for like cleansing blood. And like it's crazy to think about that everything that is like frowned upon or this is dangerous, it might be, but there's preparation.
Yeah.
You just need to know these things.
You just
Yeah.
have to have knowledge.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
have you guys considered, or do you already have like some sort of a vlog? Or
So I actually
podcast,
started.
things like
I
that.
started an
Yeah.
Instagram. It was called Holistic Carly, where I would do like little talks.
It
about
was so
different,
cute.
because I had
It
to
was
learn
really
about all
cute.
these like illnesses and diseases and like how to cure them and how to work with them and treat them and what you can do. And I just felt so weird having all this knowledge and not sharing it with anyone.
Right. That's the first
So-
thing that comes to my mind. I'm like, you got to get this information out there
Because
for
Literally.
people
you
that
know
are
what?
interested,
People
right?
don't
It's
know.
true.
And the best way,
Yeah.
like I always say, the best thing you can do for someone is educate them. Because if they really want to make a change and you give them that little kick in the butt,
Yeah.
it might be enough.
Absolutely.
And
You know,
I
like-
stopped doing it though.
Yeah, I know. You kind of fell off the track with it.
It's been like probably 2 years since I made a video.
One thing that I really found interesting when learning about health stuff is the telltales of looking at somebody's face and seeing what's wrong with them. So, like, if you
what do
have
you
a
mean by that?
bulby nose,
Yeah.
a sign of heart disease. If you have bulgy eyes, a sign of thyroid issues.
What-
if you have
what's wrong with
bags
me?
under your eyes,
What's wrong with me? Those
You know what's funny? Every time I tell
You're
people
too
about these, that's the
handsome.
first thing they say. I'm always like, because you have these physical attributes to your body that
Yeah.
like can tell you illnesses. Like puffy under your eyes can
Yeah.
be kidneys.
Kidneys,
Having
yeah.
like a line, they say like a crease in your ear can relate back to atherosclerosis. Having like
isn't the
crease
color
in
of your
your
skin too
ear.
like a thing? Like you, because
well,
you know,
like if you're
people change
jaundiced,
colors.
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
you cannot have like the
Yellow,
yellow,
liver
and
damage,
even
yeah.
your tongue. Like I had
If
to
you
learn
have
a lot
lice
about the
on
tongue,
your
the creases,
tongue,
the
yeah.
iridology. I had to study iridology, where you would look at different like areas, like imprints in your eye, where you'd see like black areas or like
That's pretty cool.
irregularities, and that would relate back to health issues. And
This
Even
is a
your
lot
teeth.
of thick. How long were you in school for this?
so it was a 3-year program, but I
Right.
condensed it into 1 year.
That's a
I
lot.
loved it. I
That's a
just
lot.
couldn't get enough
every
of it.
every week it would be like a
I have an
synopsis
exam
of
and a
different
test,
things that
like-
she would come home telling us about.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh
I had
my!
an exam
That's
and
a
a test
lot of
probably
information to
3 times
pack
a
into
week.
1 year.
See, but
I
when
loved it,
you're
though.
so into it, and you love.
it's like give
And
me
you
more,
love it,
like
it's-
feed the
yeah.
fire.
But there
Yeah,
was only
exactly.
so much that our curriculum would allow us to do, and we
Right.
would have after class lectures that weren't pretty much allowed, not allowed, but weren't pretty much put
Off
in
the books.
Off
Yeah.
the books. So we
Right.
would talk about EMFs and frequencies, and we would talk about iridology was one of our separate ones that didn't make it into the curriculum, unfortunately. But I had to take like. I think it was like 15 different classes. It was like symptomatology. I had to take like biochemistry. I had to take like diet planning, baby lifestyle, learning about like parenting, children, babies. I had to learn every like muscle, bone in the
lot.
body, where they function. I had to learn about chemistry, like everything, literally everything. And it was probably one of the most informative classes I've ever been in. And I was not a high school person. I barely made it to class. I barely enjoyed it. And like I couldn't get out there faster. I would skip. I'm out doing whatever I need to do. I like barely graduated.
Yeah. Right.
And with this, I graduated honor rolls, like first degree honor rolls. I think I graduated with an average of like 98% in that
Wow.
course.
And she was
Good
able
job.
to do
you.
it in that
Because-
short of amount of
and,
time.
and
too.
not
So
because
that's
I'm not
something.
good at school, but because I had zero interest in what they were teaching me. When I came to this school, like it was IHN, Institute of Holistic Nutrition
that
in North
interesting?
York, I could
It's
not
so
get enough.
interesting.
And my favorite thing to do was to come home and sit my boyfriend down and tell him about everything I learned because I retained it better.
Yeah.
And I taught
If
him.
you-
So
That's
we
your
were learning
practicing.
together.
Absolutely.
Money
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
long-term retention.
That's
So-
I learned like that too. It
Yeah,
gets me.
and it was my favorite thing. I loved it, and to this day, I will gladly say I am not a school person, but I was for that.
Yeah.
I love learning about things that are relevant to my life, and I would go home, and I would sit down. I'd be like, the way I'd remember things too is to be like, okay, this cycle I just learned, it's happening right now. I would have to learn about nervous system, and I'd be like thinking about different things, about twitches, but this. Looking at my hands, I could analyze based on someone's nails if they had like a zinc deficiency, leaky gut. Based on
Yeah.
creases, I could tell about your
Creases in your
heart, your liver,
nails, like-
and I would look at people and look into their eyes and be like, okay, I have to focus on this and this and that, and this is wrong and that's wrong.
We're at the store and she goes, he has heart problems. He has
Well,
kidney
I remember
issues."
it was terrible. So
Oh,
my
shit.
dad, he's a professional angler. Like he does like bass fishing and
Yeah.
tournaments. And we were at one of his tournaments watching the weigh-in, and I was with Nate. And this guy was such an asshole. Like I was sitting down, he's like, "You're in my way. Can you move?" And And Nate went
Just,
to go
like,
turn around and say
rude.
something. I said, no, he has heart disease. Like, leave him alone. And I was like, we don't need him having a heart attack
Die
here.
right here.
And
Kill
Nate
the
looked
roof.
at me. He's like, how do you know that? I'm like, look at his nose. He has bad heart disease. He's probably not going to live much longer. So I'm not going to argue with him.
In like the 1600s, they might have called you a witch.
I know.
They would have.
Like,
They
literally.
100%
And
would
so
have.
I can literally look at someone and tell if you have kidney problems or you
Yeah.
have like it just based on.
Can I test your knowledge real quick?
Yeah.
Okay, so I see this a lot at work. People with like kind of like grainy nails that are like thin
Like-
looking,
Lengthwise
Yeah.
or
like grain going this way.
A lot of the
lengthwise.
time that's related back to like your leaky gut. It can also be problems with your liver. So
the other way is something completely
so like excessive
different.
alcohol.
yeah, it can be. So it's
Right.
it's kind of hard. Nails are weird. So like for instance, I bit my nails for years,
Yeah.
and so now I have like creases in my nails where aren't like related to health, and it's just because I've damaged the beds of my nails.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's so hard to look at someone's nails and know. But if you don't have like a lot of issues and you're getting that in your nails, it's probably related back to like maybe your liver, maybe
Yeah.
maybe different things. But yeah,
Interesting.
yeah.
That is so interesting.
But if
Sorry,
you
when you say
see-
leaky gut, like describe that. What would?
So that's pretty much holes in your gut, which is causing your body to
GMOs,
kind of-
pesticides, all that
Yeah.
stuff that creates those allergies that I was mentioning the last podcast. The things that you can eat can create little
almost
holes
like
or divots.
leaky gut. Your gut is like leaking, and your
Leaking out
body's
into your
fighting these
bloodstream.
things. You're getting
That creates
sensitivities.
allergies.
You're getting allergies.
Right.
Pretty much everyone who's eating genetically modified foods or eating lots of sugars has leaky gut. It's just a term that is used by health practitioners to describe someone having a bad gut.
You mentioned sugars.
Yeah.
So what's your relationship with like this excessive eating of carbohydrates in our society?
There's different types of carbs.
Yeah,
So
for
there's
sure.
like there's the pretty much processed versus natural or complex carbs.
Yeah.
So things like legumes and quinoa and stuff like that. That's going to be good for you.
Hey.
Yeah.
Whereas the processed stuff, absolutely terrible. Do you have anything sciencey to
No.
Back that up. Hit him with the facts.
One thing that bugs me is sugar is just so messed up. Like it's not even edible. It's not
Yeah,
edible.
refined sugar. It's not. It's sugar, not
It's
natural.
not
Yeah.
even something our bodies know how to
Process. At all.
And so I look at things like xylitol that cleans your teeth, and it can be derived by either corn or birch, but
Yeah.
you have to process it properly, of course. But it can be used to literally regrow teeth. It can be used for like people who have problems going to the bathroom. It helps with a lot of different things, and it tastes exactly like sugar, bakes like sugar, but
actually
yet
really good.
it's not widely used. Xylitol is it's incredible.
There's stevia, which I feel
And
like has
stevia,
become more of
but
a
it has an
fad, but it has an
aftertaste, yeah.
aftertaste that I don't like. So.
I read somewhere with sugar intake that what was it before? I think the year they based it on was 1900. Before 1900, the average human worldwide was consuming something like 30 milligrams or 30 grams of sugar a week.
And now it's like
And
one
now-
drink.
Are you kidding?
We eat
One
probably
Gatorade's
about
like 30.
180
Yeah.
grams of sugar by noon each day.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
Well, look
It's
at all
so
these.
disgusting.
They make a package green, and everyone's like, "Oh, this is healthy."
Yeah.
It's like it's crazy. All these granola bars, and they're like, "Oh, this is important for your day." It is all sugar, but they make people think that it's a good part of your breakfast. And
Or they'll put something like has a good source of iron on it, but that's just added heavy metals into
did you ever
the-
see the cereal for
Yes,
kids?
they
where
broke
they
down
crush it
the
up and put a
cereal.
magnet, and they were
It's
actually
like-
fortifying it with iron, like
Yeah.
real pieces of metal.
I've
were
seen
in
that
the-
happen with baby food too. But
Yeah.
but the thing is though, all iron, including the iron that is naturally produced by plants in food that
Yeah.
we're supposed to eat, is magnetic.
Yes.
So if you go
Right.
and take like a dried bag of like what's like iron rich food, spinach,
Yeah,
Yeah.
spinach.
Yeah.
you know, and you grind it up,
Yeah.
you dry it, you grind it up, and then you take a magnet in it, it's gonna pull all the iron out, and you're gonna be like, there's shards of iron in my. Yeah, there is. The freaking spinach put it
But
there.
the quality
you know?
that they use, like if you were to actually look up the sources for their iron, it's not naturally derived from like
Right.
spinaches and
Our body
plants or
can't
anything.
recognize it,
It
as something
doesn't.
to
It has
digest
no
or
idea.
take anything from
so
it.
it just passes it
Even-
through, right?
yeah. even
Well, and
like
the size
what-
is that big. Like, what is your body doing with them?
Yeah,
like,
fair enough. Well,
even
they
to
talk
like
water molecules
take,
too, right? That's a, we'll get to
yeah,
that one.
water molecules. That's a big one. Even if you take iron supplements, they say you're not supposed to take it in pill form or anything like that. You're supposed to get like a liquid plant derived
Yeah.
form so that your body can understand it. Oh, this is coming from X plant, Y plant,
Yeah.
whatever it is. And it's like,
Right.
I know what to do with this.
Yeah.
But if
Yeah.
you're just eating little shards of metal, your body's like,
Yeah.
What the
So pretty
fuck?
much, there's two supplements that you never recommend someone to take unless it's needed, like very well needed, and it's iron and calcium. Those are
Right.
two things you do not recommend people.
But you can get that from
the
eating a
iron
shit
that
ton
they're
of spinach
giving, like
and
Mariah's
eggshells.
right. They're not getting it from plants, and there's certain liquids that you can get that they will derive it in a way that we can process.
Right.
But the way that they're fortifying foods, like completely ridiculous methods.
Yeah.
Like
So what do you guys take in terms of supplements? I mean,
For me, it's changed because
Yeah, I was gonna say.
yeah.
yeah, no, I was gonna ask like now, what are you taking?
So, like prenatal, obviously, but things like iodine. Taking iodine while you're pregnant can increase the baby's IQ by like a crazy amount. So that's a really good one for brain development as well. Lots of probiotics. You've got sea moss, which has all of your minerals in it. You've got like
Doesn't CMOS have like 99 of 102?
Yes, it
or
does. 99 of 102
Right.
or 90
Something like that,
99, something
98, yeah.
Yeah, it's in the
About-
90s.
It's a
I don't
lot.
remember exactly, but I buy it dried and I rehydrate it and I blend it.
Nice.
I put it in my smoothies.
little
I
ice
make cubes.
and make you taught me how to do that, and
Yeah.
I make such a good ginger lemonade now.
It's so good. That's what I do. I full lemon, rind and all, in a blender with some ginger, water,
bit of maple
syrup, and
Wow.
sea moss. And that's what I drink when I'm outside doing gardening and doing work and I need like an extra kick. I don't grab a Gatorade. I make
No,
like,
it's so good.
Yeah.
but
That's
It's
so
really good.
interesting.
Good for you.
yeah,
So
I
good.
had to try that for our hangover cure one
it's
day.
so
I want
it
to.
works.
I'm
It
sure
works.
Yeah.
But it's crazy. Like I don't take like a lot of supplements naturally. Like I just kind of bring in food and
Right.
products. I do
Right.
take magnesium before bed and like
Okay.
Yeah,
That's a
I'm
big
if,
one.
yeah, every now and then I'll take like a vitamin B. But I find that you can just if you're eating certain things, you can get it. Like iodine, I'll rub it on my skin and absorb it. But you get a lot of iodine from sea moss.
Yeah.
And a lot of minerals, like I get from the certain like Himalayan salt, or I'll get from the sea moss, or like vitamin C. If you're just eating certain things, you don't really need to.
You don't want to be reliant on
No.
taking a pill.
Absolutely.
Either, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like,
Yeah.
fix your diet, fix your gut so that you can absorb these things naturally so
Right.
you don't have to be relying on supplementation.
Yeah.
Well, it's like,
So-
like, why take vitamin C pills when you can just eat an orange?
Yeah.
But
Yep.
the thing is, like, a
Vitamin
lot of
D, you
people
know what I mean?
need to start supplementing things at the same time.
Right.
Because
So far
So-
removed.
So
okay,
yeah,
so
Right.
the way that farming
Makes sense.
practices they've depleted a lot of soil, and a lot of farmers they'll do like crop rotation and things, but
Yes.
it doesn't really do.
won't replenish it.
It won't replenish it the way it does. So even a lot of the fruits and vegetables now, when you look back like 50 years ago, it probably had close to 10 times
I was
more
gonna say
nutrients
this.
in
Yep.
there
and different
than
Right.
it does
nutrients
now.
too,
Yeah.
and it lacks
Yeah,
now.
and
Yeah.
every day the nutrients deplete. So by the time you get that apple coated in wax, it's a month old.
That's been radiated through the borders. Like,
fruits and vegetables, the moment that you harvest them,
They start
every
going
day
down
that
from
passes,
there.
it
Yeah.
half-lives in
Yeah.
terms of nutritional value.
yeah, it does.
Every day it halves.
eat things that are
And it
alive,
already
like,
has
eat live
probably
Yeah.
less than 10
Take it off
times
the
what it
line.
did 50 years ago. So
Yeah.
you're not really getting
not-
much nutrients.
yeah,
so
not
you would
much.
need to eat like 10
Absolutely.
apples to get what one apple could have given you.
So I'm going to go on a little tangent here,
Yeah.
just because it's getting to a point, and we're talking about this, and I wanted to talk about this, but I just want to get your thoughts on this. The whole thing of like balancing hormones using our food and like magnesium, like in spinach, like going back to spinach, I love spinach. So spinach apparently is naturally one of like the plants that we have in our diet that has the highest levels of magnesium naturally. But spinach is obviously one of the most consumed foods, and it's grown everywhere, and it's a monocrop in a lot of farming situations. And the magnesium content of your store-bought spinach is like way lower than it used to be
Yeah.
50 years ago. So a lot of people talk about, and I want to get your thoughts about like the difference of sexes and what nutritional things need to be done for the sexes. For men, this is not that commonly known. Women are commonly known to be iron deficient.
Yes.
Men are commonly, well, not that commonly, but significantly deficient in magnesium that we are supposed to be getting from our green leafy vegetables, but aren't because the earth doesn't have as much
Yeah.
of it in it anymore.
before you go into it, everybody's deficient
Yeah,
in magnesium.
I was
That
just
is
gonna
the
say-
one
Is that-
thing
is
that,
that a
like,
thing?
everybody
Okay.
It's
needs it.
the
Like,
most efficient. Like
Yeah.
it's everyone.
and you need
Right.
it for so many different things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry.
But with men and women, I will, like Mariah said, everyone's deficient in magnesium,
Yeah.
and women, because they have like the menstrual cycle, they end up needing more iron.
Yep.
Right.
And I don't know, I just find that women and their hormones, men are just, their hormones are whack too. Like everyone focuses more on like female hormones.
Yeah.
But so when it comes down to deficiencies, like it's not even the nutrients, it's more the hormones that everyone is out of place.
Yeah.
Like
It's the
men right
hormones,
now have almost more estrogen than women.
So 70%
Yeah.
lower testosterone rates in modern day
Yeah.
men than their grandfathers.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of it's in water too. Like tap water is
Yes.
full of birth control.
Yeah.
Right.
Everyone's
Yeah.
like drinking estrogen and all the hormones in meat. everything. Like, you are constantly being hit with.
Chicken apparently is
Yeah.
really bad for estrogen. They have really, really
Right.
high levels
Yeah.
of estrogen.
For that, yeah.
So men and women need different dosages of certain nutrients, and at the end of the day, it's pretty much all the same things, different quantities.
Right.
But it's more the hormones that's one of the biggest problems. Like, women now, or they have estrogen imbalances like crazy, and
Yep.
they're getting
Right.
very painful periods, heavy problems,
Infertility
like,
issues.
infertility issues,
And that's on
issues
both sides of the coin.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Those the infertility
on
issues.
both sides.
Yeah.
Yeah, the sperm like. Almost nothing. They say that in 2025, the sperm's going to be almost at 0 in most men. Like,
How you
On
and
an
your
average.
boyfriend did it was just beyond all
Fucking
of us.
lucky. You better get on it, guys.
but
Yeah.
it's insane to see that a lot of the women are crazy high estrogen. A lot of the men crazy high estrogen. So if we're both high in estrogen, where's it coming from?
Yeah.
Right.
And a lot of it is just the practices of different meats and veggies and everything. Literally everything that you are eating goes against your hormones.
So the last time Mariah was here, we kind of opened up this can of worms. We didn't get too deep in it.
Yeah.
On the hormone level and imbalances, specifically estrogen in the water.
Yes.
And then one of the things you said, we were listening back to it on the way
Yeah.
down this morning. You said that, like, in the 90s, a teenager looked like a teenager.
Yeah.
And now today, it's so true. I don't know if it's because we're getting older.
No.
But teenagers look like children.
Actual children. Have you
And-
seen those videos online where it's like, oh, 1990s high schools?
Yeah.
They look like grown-ass adults.
Like,
Yeah.
there's, like, grade 9s.
In
with
terms
beards.
of in terms of like
Yeah.
facial
Yeah.
structures or like your body, like
Everything.
physically your body.
Everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but some people would argue that people like a 15 and 16-year-old today are taller, way more.
Here, now, like
yeah,
in this time?
Yeah, so like a lot of
from
people
the
have said
90s?
that.
Since-
Average
Yeah,
heights?
comparing like if
No. I
you're
haven't
comparing
heard
people
that.
from 50 years ago,
No.
average height of a male, like let's say 15 years old.
No, not a chance.
Okay,
Not a
okay.
chance.
Height
I haven't heard
differences
it.
a
The only-
century ago for sure, but like that's normal because we have access to more food, theoretically more nutrients. But do we now with our food, with all the preservatives and like the depletion in the soil and stuff? How much more we're eating more food? That's for sure. But how much more nutrients are we getting out of the food compared to 100 years ago?
Look back, even in the 70s. Like, if you look at videos from the 70s, nobody was overweight.
Yeah.
Right, it was
Nobody
right,
had an
100%.
overweight issue.
Yeah.
Everybody was
100%,
like
yeah.
built. They were in good physical condition.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that people are taller or anything like that nowadays. I've actually heard the opposite in a lot of studies and videos and stuff.
Okay.
That males. What's the movie?
This is
Male?
Disappearing Male.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just.
It was
if
like
you
a
look at
You mentioned this
documentary.
last time we were here.
Yeah. It's a really interesting documentary.
It just pretty
Yeah.
much talks about how like everything that you're doing on a daily basis goes against just males'
natural
health.
world.
Well,
Yeah,
everyone's health,
exactly,
but
yeah.
specifically like men, they're not producing testosterone the same anymore. They're actually higher estrogen. Even bottled water, like the amount of fluoride, everything is going against specifically men and the way that the men's, I guess,
It'll
hormone
show on
and
there.
endocrine. Like,
Can I
it's
look
just-
at it?
It's so imbalanced now.
Yeah, so I try and buy water that doesn't have any fluoride. So this one says 0 ppm, which means none,
Yeah,
right?
parts per
Here you
million.
go.
I mean, I know there's some brands that have it, and then there's some brands that don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're getting,
Yeah, I didn't buy this one.
So
but-
I've watched
Yeah.
documentaries on water, bottled water specifically, which is the world's greatest scam in my opinion. But what it is let me see what this one says. It says spring water and 100% natural spring water, which is what they all say
Yeah.
because the conditions for this are if the water has at any point in time been in a spring, including underground, it's now qualified as spring water. So now you can take it out of the spring, put it through the normal filtration
Processing
system
systems.
that we have here for like
Right.
the city of Toronto, which is disgusting.
Ew.
I've gone to a treatment facility and
wanna-
seen it.
yeah.
It's horrifying what we're doing.
I had no idea.
Would you like me to tell you what happens to your water?
Yes, please.
Okay, so Lake Ontario, one of the largest freshwater lakes in the world, it's one of the 5 Great Lakes. Okay, it's polluted to shit because of our way of living. We pump that water in from Lake Ontario. We disperse it throughout all of the municipalities of the Toronto area. Okay, it gets treated, filtered twice. Most other countries do it 5 times. Just saying, we filter it twice and then send it straight to your tap after fortifying it with fluoride and a whole whack
look
of
at
chemicals.
European.
Chlorine.
Like a lot of the
Chlorine.
European, like they do UV, they do charcoal. They don't put fluoride. They don't put chlorine.
We have UV too, actually.
We do,
So
but it's
our water
not-
doesn't have any like dangerous pathogens in it, but also it doesn't have any good ones either.
No, it's dead water.
It's dead water. It's exactly what it is.
So neutral, that would be like 7 on the scale, you'd say?
It's always at 7, right?
Yeah, chemically balanced to be at a 7 pH.
And then our wastewater, which is literally, I sat down in the safety briefing before I went into this treatment facility, and the guy was like, make sure you don't get even a drop of the sewage water splashed onto your skin at any point in time, because it has, fecal matter and urine, and it has AIDS. So if you get a drop of this water on your skin, don't be a tough guy. Go to the hospital. I'm like, what the fuck?
That's
so they
terrifying.
filter it twice.
And then we're drinking
Send it out into the lake.
That's
They
good.
dump it out into the lake 3 kilometers away, and then pump it right in from the lake again and filter it twice before sending it to your tap. What the fuck?
That's really fucked up.
we were taught in school, because I went for plumbing.
That's
And-
this water from the tap right there.
Yeah, I went to school for plumbing. They taught us that there were 14 stages of like the filtration system, but like it also depends on where.
Yeah, they count
right?
the skimmer as one of the stages.
Yeah, like
skimming off the shit off the top of it.
One thing for sure, and everyone, like a lot of communities do this, is the chlorinization. Like they chlor, like there's so much chlorine in the water, which I'm sure you can imagine what issues that can lead to as well, right?
Yeah. But you have to. I mean, if we're dumping out AIDS into Lake Ontario, how are you removing that from the water? What does that look like when it gets dumped into like I'm not saying, we're going to get AIDS from tap water, but I'm just saying.
I get that, but how do other countries get away with not using chlorine or fluoride?
That's the thing.
And they're actually,
Obviously,
like Italy and different places in Europe, like Ireland, all these, they have access to one of the healthiest systems of water.
Right.
Like, we are one of the only places, North America, that still love putting fluoride and chlorine in our water and putting different things in our water.
And obviously,
our water
okay.
isn't even on like the
I mean?
top, probably 10 of healthy waters that you can.
Yeah, sorry.
Unhealthy water.
A perfect supporter to what you're saying
Yeah.
is the water treatment facility that I went to is incredibly old infrastructure. So you can tell there's been very little effort in modernizing the way that we're processing our water.
Which means the process is very outdated too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And what the chemicals you're adding to it have to be as well. And so like, why aren't you looking at better ways? We live in Canada. We have the highest freshwater supply on the planet, but we have one of like I don't understand how there are native reserves across Canada getting muddy water from a tap. What the fuck? How does that make sense? We all live. There's nobody in Canada lives less than an hour's drive away from some naturally occurring fresh water lake. Not one
Or
person
even
in
the
this country.
underground springs. Like, there's springs that
Exactly.
find my spring or find the spring near me or something
Yeah.
online.
When we go to a cottage and we can't bring like our Kangen machines and stuff like that, we find a spring nearby.
Yeah.
And
That's
go
so
fill it
I
up.
drove to
smart.
BC not long ago, and I just found springs along the way and filled up our jugs, filled up our bottles of water.
Beautiful.
And that's all you do. And like, there's always warnings. Oh, bacteria here, but
Because you're in a new ecozone,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like, there's going to be different bugs.
Well,
right?
there are some water bottles that have like little filtration systems inside them as well.
There is.
Right?
If you're where I
Straws,
just
too.
was drinking it straight off the spring. But,
Okay.
but there's places that you can find and to get fresh water sources. Like Judy and Mike, like our aunt and uncle, they fill up these big jugs, and that's what they used to shower with, to drink, everything.
Right.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
One thing. Sorry, I wanted to change the subject because I know you guys don't have long. And I wanted to touch on it because I know you really wanted to touch on it.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a conspiracy. There might be
Okay,
two sides to
bring
this,
it.
but chemtrails.
Just
So this is.
We talked about this. Just look at this eyebrow. We're gonna.
I
have a bit of beef on
make
this.
joke. I made a joke. I think we were at baseball last week, and there was a plane above us, and there was a trail behind it, and I just made a joke. I was like, "Oh, look, everybody, chemtrails." And some people laughed. Some people didn't know what the fuck I was talking about.
Yeah.
You know, Matt looked at me like I was an idiot. I was making a joke.
Yeah.
But what are your opinions on chemtrails?
They're there. I know it.
search it up.
Real?
Search
For
it up.
real.
It literally says online that they're dropping stuff out of the
Yeah.
plane for the
Well,
atmosphere for
Can I
climate
ask
control.
what and for what purpose?
So HARP, you've heard of HARP,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
So they actually came out to say that they were putting particles in the air to manipulate weather.
Right.
And this has been, I forget what the article was called. It was this document that they put out saying that they've already been able to play with the weather by
Manipulate weather.
particles in the air. They've made plasma clouds.
Yeah.
They were able to actually play with the weather already.
Yep.
This isn't new news.
Of course.
So how are they getting the particles in the air? And there was actually blueprints of these planes that had this technology and to let the chemtrails. It was these big tanks where they're releasing like fine particles, heavy metals, different things that they can manipulate.
That's actually
with
what it says
frequency.
online, that they are releasing these
Yeah,
particles
this isn't
for
from a conspiracy.
climate
This is
control.
straight from research on HAARP.
Yeah.
Like this
Okay.
is, and I went onto their website and I actually found documents. And when you look it up, a lot of like the articles, they source at the bottom. So a lot of the documents, you can actually go back to the main source and they take you directly there, saying that we have actually been able to manipulate the weather by using these.
And
like,
you wonder why the weather's been so weird, like over the last
those clouds,
10 years.
those like thin wispy clouds, those are not real clouds. Those
the haze that's
So
over the sun. And
this is
moon.
where this is where I start to get into like the discomfort zone with the chemtrail people.
Yeah.
So, what is a cloud? Just to you give me your what is a cloud? What is a cloud made out of? What makes it look like that?
Well, clouds are mostly water particles.
Yeah, I'm hoping that you got
water.
I brought my slides here for a
vapor,
reason.
water vapor in the air.
It's pretty
right?
much mostly water vapor. There's a mixture of chemicals and other things in there, but
And how
it's
do they
mostly,
form? How do clouds, like even naturally, how do they form?
Don't they form from pressure coming up from the ground, like different airflows, and they'll circulate and
So evaporation, right?
Yeah.
Which from the sun, and it goes up. Now it's like in its gaseous
Yeah.
form, and then as it gets higher, like, here comes the freaking
This guy is flying
jet. It's a
super
really low plane.
That is super low.
Oh my god! Here we go, guys.
That?
Remember the date.
That's a commercial. That's like
Remember
That's a
the
private
date.
jet. That's a private.
That's private, yeah.
Oh, is it?
That is
Yeah.
very
That's
close.
crazy.
We're 35 floors here. I mean, that's...
I can hear it.
So
Yeah.
water vapor gets evaporated. It's up in the air, and then there's different pressures at different heights, right?
Yeah.
So you get to a certain point, the pressure brings it together, and then there's static charges and whatnot, and then
Yeah.
it causes them to bond.
Yes.
Right? And so when they're bonded, they're clouds.
They're
right?
together.
But it's water, and water's very
Yeah.
heavy. So clouds are constantly sinking. Well, a lot of people can't visualize this. Any cloud you see is dropping
Yeah,
at you.
on its way down.
Always. 100% of the time, every single
And
time.
they constantly.
Right.
Right.
When a plane is whipping through the air and there's vapor in the
Yeah.
air and it creates basically a
No,
vacuum
I
vortex.
know where you're going with
what
this.
happens
You're
saying why is it
inevitably?
vapor? No,
but why
but-
is it only certain planes?
Yeah.
No,
Why
they're,
not?
they're
Yes,
saying
it is.
they're saying it's a different type of plane that they're
Yeah.
releasing these chemicals from. Your average
Your average
7,
plane does
you know what I mean?
have that trail
You see
of
that
water
trail
vapor
just
Right.
from
from
the
the
engine.
engine.
Through.
Yeah.
But
You
then
see
you
it,
see
but
one
it's about
leave
this
an
long,
entire
and then it
street.
disappears.
They're
When
saying
it's
this is-
across the
yeah.
sky in literally checkers. That's particles that are being left,
And they're not
distributed.
dispersing.
Yeah,
They're not-
like
Designated
pay attention to it.
planes.
Pay attention to
Designated.
it.
Interesting.
There's different ones because you
Okay.
can tell the difference.
I'm being open-minded. I'm
Yeah.
just giving you
Okay.
the counter arguments.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because a lot of people will look at water vapor coming off of the vortex created by
Yes.
planes
100%.
displacing
No, you're
air
right.
and be
Be a
like
trail.
chemtrails, and I'm like,
No.
you can't call it a chemtrail if you don't even understand
No.
the basic process of
Yeah.
what's
It
happening.
needs to have that. Yes.
Right?
No, and you're
100%.
right. And when a
100%.
plane goes through, you can see the trail behind it a
Yeah.
lot of the time.
But it
you'll see
disappears
it
so quickly.
like almost 50, 100 feet behind
But
the plane get breaking up.
It doesn't dissipate
Or
that
broken up,
quickly.
sorry.
It has to. There's so many factors that you're looking at the altitude,
All
right?
I'm going
The air
based
pressure
off of
that
what
day,
I
the
see.
moisture content of the
Right.
air that day, right? Because if there's like a more humid day and
Yeah.
a plane goes cutting through the sky and it creates like this water vapor trail. Right, that's going to linger there because there's a lot of moisture in the air. It's not going to go anywhere.
But
It's
to
going to
see
be
both
sinking,
in the
but
same day,
sorry.
to see both in the same day, same weather climate, same type of plane.
Well, like I said,
But
it's different things happening at different altitudes, right?
Yeah.
Because the pressure is different. Every 10 feet, the pressure is different.
But tell me why I can see a plane go almost beside, and one's dispersed, one's not. Like,
Yeah.
or
I know what you
the
mean.
whole sky.
It's not-
Like,
and
The
I know
speed
altitude is
matters
so
too.
long.
The size of the
everything's a
aircraft
factor.
matters.
But
Absolutely.
It's not, and even with all this aside, with all the different factors like altitude and
Mm-hmm.
whatever, HAARP has literally come out and said,
I know, and I understand that part. I understand that part. But
So-
another example of this is behavior of water. Is
Yeah.
basically what we're talking about. Have you ever? And a lot of people haven't seen this. They like to talk about planes in the air. Have you ever seen ships and ship trails?
yes, of course.
Right. So the bigger the ship, the more water it
the trail,
displaces,
yeah.
the longer the trail is,
Right.
the longer it lasts. Right. So like oil tankers crossing the ocean, their trails are like super long. You can see them for like hours after they've been through.
Right.
Which is kind of crazy, but then smaller vessels, obviously, they're not displacing as
Yeah.
much water.
Yeah.
They will leave,
It's
the
like a private jet. Private jet,
Yeah.
you're not going to see it.
Yeah.
But sometimes you do.
Nah, you may, a little bit.
Single engine aircraft, like with the one propeller on the front, they'll leave trails, but they're
Yeah.
not going as high. You know what I mean? So it's that's a big part of it. But my argument is, okay, I'm open minded to chemtrails being a thing. I'm open minded to
A thing.
organizations
You're still,
putting
like,
stuff in the
putting
air.
hyphens around it.
know?
A thing.
I'm open to it. I have to look more into it personally.
Hopefully not.
But I'm also gonna say too, like this process happens naturally.
Yeah.
It just,
I agree.
It's
I
happening
agree.
regardless of the aircraft, regardless of the You know, it's going to happen.
There was a theory that they released that they were saying that they were going to release chemicals into the air that was going to help reflect sunlight onto the earth, which was going to help with cooling. So I think also when people read things like that, it's like, oh, okay, well, some people are already against the whole global warming thing, whatever. But when people read that I think that freaks people out as well.
Yeah.
We're messing with nature. Like, again,
We are messing
we're
with
messing with nature. And eventually it's going to come back because we have a system that works. Why are we breaking it? You know what I mean?
Well, this is just the thing. And so a lot of people talk about like the world, you know, these things that we're messing with and whatnot. And then you look at the people who talk about like the environmental movement, okay? And they're like, oh, we're killing the planet. Like, one of the most important things to do is give context in the situation.
Yeah.
We're not killing the planet. We're killing the planet's ability to host us.
It's true.
We're fucking
when
our
we
own
die,
dog.
it will live on.
Yeah, the planet will survive.
It will
like,
continue
don't worry
on
about
happily
that.
without
Yeah.
us. Like this rock that we're on right now has been in molten states. It has been locked in ice. It has been, trust me, it can handle way more aggressive things than what we're doing to it.
It'll always be here.
We can't handle what we're doing to
Yeah.
it. And that's all it is.
100%.
Right.
Mariah, Carly,
Thank you.
We had a
Yes.
blast.
It was really great
we
talking
love
to you
having
guys.
you guys on.
It's
Honestly,
fun.
you guys are
It's
gonna
so much
you guys
fun.
need to start one of your own. A podcast of your own, honestly.
I wanted to start doing more videos for my Instagram.
You
but
should.
I know.
It's just
I
you just
know.
got to do it. And once you start, it was like us with the podcast. Once you start, and we do an episode every week.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, structure.
it becomes a routine so easily, and it's so much fun, and you learn so much. We've grown. We've talked
Yeah, you
about
get to
it.
connect with people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
meet a lot of
Like
amazing.
it's
people.
so great, honestly. But we really appreciate you both coming in.
Yeah,
Oh my
And
gosh,
listen-
thanks for
amazing.
having us.
Also, if you guys will have us, we'd love to come by, check
Yeah.
out the setups
Yeah, I
and
wanna see
everything,
course.
right?
And
Of
like you know,
course.
show the fans and stuff, and so you
Yeah.
guys can give us little rundowns
From
on what's
the
going
road?
on. Yeah, like
Yeah.
that would be super cool.
Yeah, that
We'll
would be
figure it out.
incredible.
We'll
Yeah.
set it up.
All right, guys.
Definitely.
Until next time, this has been Think on That, the Everything and Anything podcast. New episodes posted every Monday, 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thanks for listening.
We're out.